Our boy Desire is deep in a book, surrounded by swirling energy and floating manga panels, straight up reliving past timelines. The team sniper attempt fails and Pram is furious, asking, "Then what was the point? Failed sniping will only expose our location." Adrian just says Romantica, like out of nowhere, no context, no explanation, this dude is a mood. Pram's freaking out, asking then why, and clutching her chest, she's clearly remembering something awful. She furrows her brow, tears welling up, and honestly our boy is probably seeing the same horrifying future she is. Pram is still spiraling, asking then why, again, and you can see the despair creeping into her expression. She's clutching at her uniform, completely unraveling, while Adrian just glares. Seriously, what is up with him? Our boy hears every single word, every panicked question, every silent accusation, and he's visibly shaken by it all. He clenches his fist, his jaw tight. He remembers this moment, this breakdown from the original timeline, and it's hitting him hard. He stares off into the distance, a determined look in his eyes, while Pram and the others look on. He's seen the end, and he's going to change it. They've arrived, a massive train pulls up in the pouring rain, and our boy knows exactly who's stepping off. A tired-looking man emerges, clutching a briefcase, and Adrian just stares. Something's off about this guy. The rain is coming down in sheets, and a woman with glasses looks on with a worried expression. She senses trouble, too. A tall figure in blue steps forward, and the group seems to recognize him, but Desire, he's remembering a devastating war. The man in blue surveys the scene, and Desire hears a voice in his head, a grim echo of a future he desperately wants to avoid. Someone grabs a heavy door handle, and our boy is reeling. This isn't just a welcome party, it's a turning point. The group huddle together, and Desire realizes they are talking about that time, the disaster he's trying to prevent. "So this was where it started," someone mutters, and Desire feels a chill. It's happening all over again. Suddenly, a massive tremor rocks the area, and Desire's eyes snap open. No way, it's starting now. A woman with long, silver hair looks at him, asking, "Didn't you?" And honestly, you can see the weight of the world in her eyes. As at King's Crown just drops that bombshell, Gabriel ranked second place for the first years. That's insane. This dude's eyes narrow, and you can practically feel the tension building. He's remembering something big. Someone asks if Azist was sniped too, and our boy's face is unreadable. He knows exactly what happened. The group's looking at Azist, but Desire is seeing a ghost. He's reliving a nightmare, and it's clearly hitting him hard. What? It was Desire. They're shocked, but Desire, he's bracing for impact, remembering the fallout. As it casually announces he'll take on these 6. Honestly, this dude is asking for it. As it starts laughing, a full-on, unsettling cackle, and Desire's memories are flooding back. You can feel the rage building. "Ever since the entrance ceremony, you just can't seem to help pissing me off," as it snarls, and a fiery aura explodes around him. "I'm sick of your arrogance," as it's unleashing a massive blast of fire, and everything is about to go down. The flames erupt, a chaotic burst of energy. It's a straight-up explosion, and our boy is right in the middle of it. As it sends Desire flying with one punch, straight up launched him across the room. Our boy's taking a beating. Romantica and Pram are losing it, shouting that he's out cold, but Desire's already moving, forming an ice wall. The ice wall cracks under the force of Azit's attack. It's a brutal impact, and Desire is clearly struggling to maintain it. Desire's face is contorted in pain. He can't cast spells anymore, and honestly, it's a terrifying sight. Azit is relentless. Show what you're made of if you're alpha enough, and unleashes another attack, aiming for the downed Desire. The attack connects, sending a shockwave through the room, and you can see the other students are getting seriously worried. Suddenly, a blinding light erupts, a bolt of energy, and Desire's launching forward, but it's unclear who's controlling it. Everything explodes, kaboom, crash, bam. The room is tearing apart, and honestly, it's total chaos right now. A massive piece of the building is ripped away, revealing the city outside, and you can see Desire is still caught in the destruction. The doors to the room are blasted open with a clack, and the whole structure is groaning, creak. It's about to collapse. Desire is surrounded by jagged ice. It's cracking and splintering all around him, but he grits his teeth and pushes through the pain. He sees Azit, and a flash of memory hits him. He remembers this exact moment from the future, Azit's mocking grin, the utter devastation that follows. It's brutal. How is he still standing as it sneers and our boy feels that familiar wave of despair? But this time, he's not helpless, he's prepared. Desire is totally lost in a book surrounded by swirling blue energy, and honestly, he looks like he's about to unlock some serious power. But those eyes, that icy stare, our boy recognizes something in those pages, something from the future he's desperately trying to change. He's got a serious look on his face, and a stern woman with golden eyes is striding toward him, radiating authority. Someone is laughing, and Desire hears it all. The whispers, the jobs, and this dude is clearly used to being underestimated. She stomps her foot and the floorboards creak under the force. She's making a statement, and Desire is right in her crosshairs. Desire keeps reading, but this time his eyes are locked on a page showing Romantica and Pram. He's recalling a horrible event, and it's hitting him hard. Another figure steps forward, a red-haired guy, and together they're closing in on Desire. It's a power play, and they think they have him cornered. A girl with brown hair looks at Desire with concern, but he's focused on the looming threat. You can feel the tension building with every step. Our boy just laughs, a hollow sound that sends chills down your spine. He's seeing something they aren't, and it's terrifying. Desire is straight up reading, but the red-haired dude isn't backing down. He's demanding Desire explain himself. The red-haired guy and the woman launch a freezing attack, ice spreading across the floor. It's a full-on assault. Romantica and Pram try to dodge, but the ice is moving too fast. Desire, though, he just watches. The ice slams into a wall with a huge crash, and Desire's face, it's like he's seen this exact moment before. Our boy hears everything, the cracking ice, the shouts, but his gaze is locked on Romantica and Pram, and I swear he's reliving a nightmare. The blue-haired kid is freaking out, trying to help, but Desire is frozen, recalling a past where he couldn't save them. The red-haired guy swings at the blue-haired kid, and for a second it feels like Desire's frozen in time, paralyzed by the memory. But then Desire moves, leaping forward, and honestly, it's like a switch flipped. That calm is gone. The woman with the golden eyes is left standing alone, and she says, "Looks like we're finally alone. Now let's get started." The man's shoulder snaps, and you can see the pain on his face. Desire is changing things, and this dude just felt the first ripple effect. Desire's got this intense look on his face, promising something to someone off-panel, and it's chilling. The red-haired dude swings, aiming for the blue-haired kid, but Desire intercepts with a blade, and the clash sends sparks flying. The red-haired guy yells, "Come on, where's your fighting spirit?" And Desire's eyes, they're wide, remembering something awful. A flash of memory hits Desire, a pop sound accompanying the vision, and you can tell whatever he's seeing is messing him up. He's airborne now, sword flashing, deflecting another attack from the red-haired guy, a whirlwind of motion. Desire lands, sword extended, slicing through the air, and honestly, the precision is insane. Blue-haired kid is staring, mouth open, completely shocked by what Desire just pulled off. A massive blast of force erupts from the red-haired guy, sending Desire flying, but our boy isn't even fazed. Desire's face is a mask of determination, and he's thinking about the past, about how he failed before. You can feel the weight of it. The red-haired guy is unleashing everything he's got, but Desire is ready, steeling himself for another clash, and this time, it feels different. Desire is dodging a relentless barrage of attacks, sword flashing, but the red-haired guy is straight up overwhelming him. Desire sees a flash of the future, the destruction, the despair, and his eyes widen, remembering exactly why this fight matters. He's blocking every single strike, a whirlwind of steel, and the onlookers are losing it, yelling, "No way." The red-haired guy's attacks intensify, but Desire doesn't flinch, a grim determination settling over his face, recalling past failures. This dude is unleashing everything, but Desire is ready, bracing for a clash that feels different, more meaningful than before. A powerful force slams into Desire, sending him flying, but he's not even shaken, and our boy is thinking about how he messed up last time. The red-haired guy roars "Arg" and tries to capitalize, but Desire turns the tables, countering with a swift strike. You can see the shock on the red-haired guy's face, how, as Desire's power starts to tremble through him. Desire stares down the other guy, his expression unreadable, and drops a cold line, "Why should I tell you?" No comment. And honestly, the red-haired guy is completely floored, speechless, staring up at our boy like he's seen a ghost. Desire unleashes Wind Strike, and it's a massive wave of energy slamming into the red-haired guy, absolutely demolishing the training area. The force is incredible, sending debris flying and the guy skidding back, but Desire doesn't give him a second to recover, pressing the attack. But the red-haired guy is still standing, and he's staring at Desire with a cold fury, a single tear tracing a path down his cheek. It's a look our boy knows all too well. He spits out the words, "You're pathetically weak," and honestly, the insult lands hard, hitting Desire right where it hurts. The little girl Romantica witnesses it all, her eyes wide with shock and fear. You can see she's terrified of what this means, and so is our boy. Our boy Desire is deep in concentration, surrounded by floating pages. It's like he's pulling memories or knowledge from a book. Suddenly, a man in a suit is launched through the air, crashing into something. It's a full-on collision. This dude is straight up yelling, "SH, shut up, I'm just tired from all the sniping, idiot." And honestly, this dude had it coming. A strange, icy barrier forms around the man, cracking and splintering with red energy. It looks like his own power is turning against him. He scoffs, saying, "So what?" But the barrier is clearly unstable and actively dissolving around him. The barrier shatters in a burst of icy fragments, sending the man flying again, completely overwhelmed by the backlash. A little girl with pigtails watches in shock. She's witnessing something seriously dangerous, and she knows it. But Desire, he recognizes this, that icy power, that inverse reaction. It's a future event he desperately tried to prevent. He's seeing a ghost of the past. Everything goes white. The blast is massive, blinding, and Desire is staring right into it. You can feel the weight of his memories crashing down. Vision obstructed, but Desire is already analyzing the situation. Let's see what she'll do now, he thinks, bracing for whatever comes next. Desire realizes she used the wind to mislead them, a tactic he remembers all too well from the future. He figures she's hiding in the fog, avoiding a direct fight with a swordsman, and honestly, it's kinda smart. But Desire isn't worried. He casually adjusts his rings, dismissing her strategy as so petty. She makes her move, dashing forward with incredible speed, a blur of motion against the gray backdrop. Desire, though, is already anticipating her attack, his eyes narrowed and focused. She's closing in, her face contorted in a fierce expression. She's aiming for a quick, decisive strike. But Desire reacts instantly, his body moving with practiced grace, and a burst of blue light erupts from his hand. A dazzling clash of energy. It's a whirlwind of blue and white, a visual explosion that sends shockwaves rippling outward. Our boy hears every whisper, every doubt, the murmurs of those who underestimate him. However, Desire doesn't flinch. He's seen this before, knows exactly what's at stake, and you can feel the determination radiating from him. Desire gets launched backwards straight through the air after that insane attack, but he's already calculating the next move. She's up close now, eyes wide and frantic, clearly surprised by his resilience. Honestly, she didn't expect him to survive that. Desire isn't giving her a chance to recover. He's already launching another assault, a flurry of energy aimed right at her. She tries to deflect, but Desire anticipated that. This dude is a step ahead, weaving around her defenses with ease. He lands a hit, sending her flying, and our boy doesn't let up, pressing the attack with relentless precision. However, it's not enough. She's still standing, defiant, and she's mocking him. "Don't you ever get sick of yapping about this, commoner?" You can feel the rage building inside Desire. He's staring her down, and every muscle is coiled. She just poked the bear. He unleashes a surge of power, rings gleaming, and the air crackles with energy. This isn't just magic, it's a statement. She's stunned, speechless, as the force of his attack washes over her. She didn't expect this level of strength, no way. But this arrogant guy, her father, just sighs, looking down on Desire and muttering, "How unseemly. Imagine getting that from your own family." Desire's dad is getting straight up dragged by spectral arms. It's a full-on haunting, bro. But it's not just a physical attack. The ghost is whispering, demanding vengeance for his death. "Wretched was my fate," the ghost rasps, "and wretched was your father's death." The words cut like knives. He wants Desire to avenge him, to eradicate everyone responsible, and our boy is taking it all in. Skeletal hands clutch at his father, and Desire just watches, tears welling up, silent and frozen. "To avoid the fate that befell me, you must stamp out every last one." The ghost's voice is chilling, echoing with rage. And then the eyes burning red staring right through Desire. This dude isn't just hearing a request, he's feeling a command. Suddenly, the scene shifts. A girl jolts back, startled, as if sensing the power radiating from Desire. But enough talk, she says, but Desire's dad is already raising a hand, a strange device glowing in his palm. You say you and I are equal, he demands, but Desire is already launching forward, a blur of motion, and honestly, this dude had it coming. Desire shouts "Wind burn," and a golden sigil flares to life around his father, crackling with energy. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts. Fire and heat wash over everything, throwing Desire's father backward, and honestly, this dude is getting blasted. The blast throws a blue-haired boy back, and he and a red-haired student stare in shock as everything around them crumbles. Our boy's eyes widen, pupils dilated. He remembers this exact moment, this destruction from the previous timeline, and it hits him like a truck. "Don'ta," the red-haired student shouts, rushing forward while the other cries out, "Miss Romantica, wake up." He hears their frantic calls, but Desire is frozen, replaying the past in his mind, the despair, the loss. You can feel the weight of it all. Desire's got a book open, surrounded by swirling blue energy. He's channeling serious power right now. But this isn't just any power. He's seeing visions, memories flashing from the original timeline, and his face shows he's not thrilled. Straight up, an explosion rocks the place, sending debris flying, and everyone's stunned. Desire just barely neutralizes the blast with magic. Pram's hurt, stumbling, and Desire immediately rushes to help her, asking her to lean on him, no hesitation. He explains he neutralized the shock with magic, and you can tell he's remembering exactly how much worse things were before, how many more people died. A stern-looking older man and a red-haired fighter are watching them, assessing the situation, and it's clear they're not thrilled with this sudden burst of power. The man turns his back, dismissing them, but Desire and Pram are on high alert, sensing something's coming, a threat they both recognize. "He's coming," Pram whispers, and Desire pulls her close, bracing for whatever's about to happen. They're ready to move fast. Our boy sees a figure approaching, a cold glare in his eyes, and for a split second, Desire is transported back to the original timeline, to the day everything fell apart. Desire remembers this face, this moment, the beginning of the end, and it fuels his resolve. He won't let history repeat itself this time, no way. Desire moves like a blur, deflecting a sword swing aimed at Pram with a swift kick. It's insane how fast he is. Gete, the attacker, snarls, but Desire's already countering, launching forward with unbelievable speed. So fast, someone shouts, and Desire slams into the attacker, sending him flying back with a massive force. But the attacker isn't down for long. He leaps back up, sword raised, and his eyes are burning with rage. Desire's face is a mask of focus, remembering this exact fight, this exact moment from the original timeline. It all went to hell here. The attacker swings again, and this dude is relentless, but Desire anticipates every move, dodging and weaving with impossible agility. However, another fighter joins the fray, a blue-haired student launching himself at Desire. It's a 2-on-1 now. "I'll crush you both," the older man roars, and you can see the sheer fury in his eyes, the determination to break Desire. The man's attack lands, slicing across his cheek, and honestly, our boy barely flinches, even as blood starts to drip down. But as Desire stares back, cold and calculating, you know he's not just fighting to survive. He's fighting to erase a future he already lived. "Pram, are you okay?" Desire shouts, and she's sliding to safety, barely dodging a brutal attack. Someone else jumps in, sword raised, and this dude clearly went straight for Pram without looking around. "He went straight for you without checking his surroundings at all," a voice explains, and Desire's face is stone cold. "I do?" Pram asks, looking up at the blue-haired attacker with a confused expression. The older man clenches his fists, declaring Don'ta is my opponent. He's not messing around. "Besides, it'll be better for you too," the attacker says, and you can see Desire's body tensing up. "Can you say that with more confidence, please?" Pram retorts, turning to face the danger head-on. Our boy's jaw drops. He remembers this exact moment, the feeling of helplessness, and it's hitting him hard. However, Desire quickly masks his shock with a determined grin, and honestly, it's kinda terrifying. "Even if things do get dangerous," a voiceover states, "you can always count on me. That's a promise." Desire's got a lot on his mind, remembering a past he's desperate to change, but he's snapping back to reality, determined to protect everyone. Pram and Adrian are all in, declaring they'll take on whoever's coming, and Badam is right, this is about to get intense. Rain's coming down in sheets as they stare up at Big Ben, and the atmosphere is thick with dread. You can feel something massive is about to happen. No way, Adrian's been slammed into the ground, and Desire's face is a mask of fury, seeing the exact moment his friend fell. Get up, a voice commands, and it's Donta. She's telling Adrian he's stronger than this, but our boy isn't buying it. Donta starts walking toward Adrian, stepping over the rubble, and the silence is deafening. She's not here to help, she's here for something else. Suddenly, a massive ice formation explodes around Adrian, and it's like a blizzard has descended. She's unleashing serious power. Donta's attacking, sending shards of ice flying, and our boy's dodging like crazy, pushing himself to the absolute limit. A shadowy figure lunges at Donta, teeth bared, and the attack is so fast she barely has time to react. What is even going on? No way, a gigantic foot comes crashing down, and Desire's bracing for impact, but it's not aimed at him. He realizes this colossal stomp is a greeting, a belated one at that, and Desire's face is unreadable. Our boy's got a lot on his mind, remembering a past he's desperate to change, but he's snapping back to reality, determined to protect everyone. Desire is deep in concentration, surrounded by glowing blue energy and floating manga panels. He's literally reading his way to power. The serene moment is broken by a chilling presence. A pale, intense woman stares down at him with golden eyes. This dude isn't wasting time, he's already prepping for a fight, red energy crackling around his hands as he declares, "Now, let's really get this started." Ice explodes from the ground, shards flying everywhere, and honestly, it's a straight-up blizzard forming around him. He stands amidst the growing ice field, radiating a cold determination as the structures around him begin to fracture. The ice keeps coming, growing taller and more dangerous, and you can feel the pressure building with every crack and shatter. He snaps his fingers, and a wave of crimson energy rips through the ice, causing it to splinter and break apart with a deafening sound. Our boy activates inverse operation, a technique he remembers from the future, a desperate gamble to turn the tables. The woman descends, attempting a stop attack, but Desire is already anticipating her move, a plan forming in his mind. He uses the shattered ice as a shield, redirecting her attack and unleashing a counteroffensive, a burst of energy pushing back against her force. Desire is unleashing a torrent of blue energy, but this woman, she's just absorbing it all like it's nothing. Her eye widens, and our boy instantly recognizes that look. It's the same vacant stare as the future, the one that signaled total domination. She leaps forward, attempting a devastating strike, but Desire intercepts with a swift counter, the force sending shockwaves outward. He's trying to overwhelm her with a flurry of attacks, but she deflects them with terrifying ease, each block echoing with power. Ice crystals erupt around her, forming a defensive barrier, and honestly, it's a beautiful, deadly display of control. She's building this ice fortress, encasing herself in a shimmering prison, and Desire realizes she's not just defending, she's charging something massive. Crimson energy clashes against the icy walls, creating fissures and cracks, but the ice holds for now. The ice shatters, sending shards flying, and Desire's inverse operation seems to have failed. This is bad, really bad. She stares down at him, and this time she says it out loud. This doesn't make any sense. It's not confusion, it's disbelief. She's analyzing him, realizing he's different from what she remembers, and our boy hears it in her voice. I am indeed stronger in every aspect, so why? He does have something that I lack. Desire stands his ground, acknowledging her skill. She's really seen it all, hasn't she? She clenches her fist, realizing she has no other choice but to go all out against him. No hesitation, she unleashes a furious sword attack, a whirlwind of steel aimed straight at Desire. He anticipates the assault, predicting her movements with unnerving accuracy, and prepares to meet the blow. Desire throws out a hand, coated in a strange, oily substance, grease, he mutters, and it's a trick she clearly doesn't expect. She leaps, continuing her attack, dismissing his petty tricks, but the grease is already disrupting her momentum. She's airborne, sword descending, but Desire moves with impossible speed, intercepting the strike. The swords clash, a deafening clang echoing through the area, and sparks fly as metal meets metal. Our boy actually blocked her attack. You can see the shock on her face, the disbelief creeping in. You blocked my attack, she demands, and Desire feels that familiar chill. This is the same confusion she had when everything went wrong in the future. She slams him into a wall and our boy straight up crumples, but he's already anticipating the next attack. He's thinking he might be more experienced, but I am a magic knight, and honestly, the confidence is kinda admirable. She unleashes a whirlwind of blades and Desire realizes she's not holding back. This isn't a sparring match. He's dodging, weaving, barely keeping up, and yells out, "So why can't I defeat him?" It's not just frustration, it's desperation. He's getting pummeled, clothes ripped, but this dude refuses to fall, shouting, "I am significantly stronger," and you can feel the defiance. She sends him flying with a massive blow, thud, and Desire slams into something hard, winded, and battered. Despite everything, he manages to get back on his feet, sword raised, and honestly, the determination is kinda insane. She looks down at him completely unimpressed and says, "Don't look so upset, Azist. At least you're enjoying this." "Think about it," she continues, "you've probably never faced a worthy opponent until now. It's a low blow, but Desire's pride is clearly hurt." Our boy's eyes narrow, a fierce glint in them, a fierce warrior who always hates to lose, and you just know something's about to change. Desire's clutching his side, clearly hurting, but he's demanding to know why Azist even cares. Azist just scoffs, "But why does it matter to you?" And our boy's face darkens. He remembers this exact moment from the future. He's recalling how this conversation spiraled, how Azist's words led to everything falling apart, and honestly, the tension is thick. Azist suddenly raises his hand, and Desire instinctively braces. It's the same gesture he used to seal Romantica's power. No way he's trying to restrain Azist, but she's already anticipating it, deflecting his attack with ease. "Is that so?" Azist asks, and Desire sees the full extent of her power as she unleashes a wave of energy. He's caught in the blast, but he's not backing down. This dude is determined to break the cycle, even if it destroys him. Our boy Desire is deep in a book, surrounded by swirling blue energy and images from the past. He's literally absorbing memories. The academy students are murmuring, clearly judging someone, and it's getting under his skin. This dude tries to speak up, but he stumbles over his words, and the others just stare him down. He explains he's just having trouble understanding, but you can see the disdain on everyone's faces. Then a haughty noble scoffs and Desire's eyes snap up. He recognizes that face, that posture. The noble raises a hand dismissively and Desire remembers this exact moment. The runner is the swordsman. It's a crucial detail from the future. Another figure appears cloaked and powerful and Desire knows exactly what's coming next. The magician will use magic to bridge the distance. But it's not just the memory of the event. Desire feels the weight of the apocalypse again, the faces of those he failed to save. The noble continues delivering a cutting insult. This is how a magician overcomes his limits, and honestly, Desire is seething. Our boy is absolutely locked on, that cold glare promising a reckoning. You can see the gears turning in his head, and this dude is about to change everything. Desire's eyes widen. He realizes this isn't just a demonstration of magic, it's a summoning, a space, a palace. He's seen this before. The magician starts to construct something massive, a fortress of ice, and Desire remembers the sheer scale of it. It's the frozen palace, a place of death. But it's not just the structure itself. Desire feels the suffocating cold, the despair of everyone trapped inside. He's reliving the nightmare. The ice forms, cracks spiderweb across the surface, and Desire knows exactly where the weak points are, the fatal flaws. You can practically feel his tension. The magician boasts that is what a magic knight is, and honestly, Desire is beyond furious. This isn't power, it's arrogance. Desire's jaw tightens, and he's already planning his countermove. This dude isn't about to let history repeat itself. He steps forward, ignoring the icy ground, and you can see the determination in his eyes. He's not backing down, not this time. The ice cracks and splinters under his feet, but he doesn't falter. He's testing it, probing for weaknesses, and he knows exactly what to do. Our boy's expression shifts. A cold, calculating smile spreads across his face. He's not just remembering the future, he's rewriting it. Desire's eyes burn with purpose. He's seen this palace fall and he's about to make sure it never stands again. The floor is literally rising and Desire's dodging shards of ice like it's second nature. He's seen this palace crumble before. Blinding light erupts and Desire realizes the ice isn't just a defense, it's part of a larger spell, a network of power. Desire's eyes lock onto the source, a woman surrounded by glowing seals, and he remembers the crushing weight of her magic. She unleashes a torrent of crimson energy and Desire understands. It's not just about strength, it's about a spell that can't be undone. But Desire isn't backing down, he's analyzing her technique, her stance, searching for an opening, and he's got a plan. He draws his sword and for a split second he's transported back to the future, to a battlefield soaked in regret. The woman scoffs, that's it, the art of the sword, and our boy is absolutely seething. She underestimates him. She declares swordsmanship in a spell that cannot be undone, and you feel the weight of those words, the finality of it all. Desire's gaze narrows, and I swear you can see the memories flooding back, the faces of everyone he failed to save. He murmurs, more is not exactly the solution here, and it's clear he's not going to meet force with force. He's thinking several steps ahead. Desire's sword clashes with the crimson energy, and a surge of electricity explodes outward. It's like a lightning storm contained in the palace. He's bracing for impact, but his eyes widen. It's not just a defense. The woman is redirecting the force back at him. Our boy's expression is ice cold, and you can see the gears turning in his head. He remembers this exact moment, this exact counter from the future. Our boy Desire is straight up channeling some serious energy, surrounded by glowing blue light and pages from a manga. He's holding an open book, and it looks like he's accessing memories or something. A massive structure is crumbling and the ground is shattering beneath their feet. It's a total disaster zone. The air feels thick with tension. This dude Percival is getting wrecked trying to block an attack, but it's clearly too much for him. He's barely holding on, but still fighting. A guy in a suit, is watching the fight and he's impressed. He says, but that swordsman is truly formidable. He's realizing Percival isn't just some random fighter. Another guy, a redhead, is grinning like a maniac, sizing up the situation. He's clearly planning something, and it doesn't look good. The redhead scoffs, saying, you sure look like you can use some help. Bit off a bit more than you can chew, huh? He and the guy in the suit are stepping forward, ready to jump in. Our boy sees everything, and his eyes widen in shock. It's not just a fight anymore. He remembers this exact moment from the future. No way. Someone yells Percival as he's clearly in danger. The redhead's grin widens, and honestly, this dude had it coming. Our boy hears every single word, the shouts, the taunts, the disbelief. It's like a punch to the gut, remembering how this all went down before. The redhead casually says, sure, if you say so, and cracks his knuckles, and you can just feel the shift in power. This isn't just a rescue mission, it's a reckoning. The redhead launches a lightning-fast attack, and Percival tries to parry, but it's way too strong for him. Romantica and Adrian yell for Percival, desperately trying to help, but they are too far away to make a difference. Desire sees it all, this exact sequence of events, and his eyes widen in horror because he knows what's about to happen. The redhead mocks Percival, saying, you sure look like you can use some help. Bit off a bit more than you can chew, huh? Our boy hears every single word, the taunts, the disbelief, and it's like reliving the worst moment all over again. The redhead casually says, sure, if you say so, and cracks his knuckles, and you can feel the power shift in the air. Desire's face is a mask of shock, remembering how easily the redhead defeated Percival in the previous timeline. The redhead swings and Adrian tries to intervene, but he's knocked aside with a single blow, straight up brutal. Romantica attempts to raise her sword, but the redhead deflects it with ease, and our boy can't believe how quickly things are falling apart. The redhead lands a devastating blow on Percival, and a scream rips through the air, Pram, and honestly, you can feel that pain. Desire jumps in front of Percival, unleashing a shimmering energy shield. It's a desperate move, but he needs to protect him. The redhead doesn't even flinch, blasting through the shield with a concentrated beam of power, and Desire's eyes widen in recognition. No way, Desire remembers this exact attack. The redhead always targeted Percival first, breaking his spirit before the real fight even began. Adrian tries to block, but the redhead swats him aside like a fly, and Romantica is about to intervene, but she's too slow. The redhead lands a brutal hit on Percival, and Desire can't help but flinch, remembering the sound of bones cracking in the old timeline. You sure look like you can use some help. Bit off a bit more than you can chew, huh? The redhead's words are like knives, and our boy hears every single one. Percival, bruised and battered, tries to stand, but the redhead just laughs. It's a mocking, cruel sound that sends a shiver down Desire's spine. Desire feels a surge of anger. This dude is deliberately breaking Percival's will, just like he did before, and it makes his blood boil. The redhead declares Magiblade, and a massive, glowing blade of energy appears poised to strike. Desire knows exactly what's coming next. But something's different this time. Desire sees the redhead's technique, a move Percival couldn't withstand before, and realizes she's learned it 10 years early. That's not good. The redhead's sword slams into the ground, and Desire realizes she's not just strong, she's familiar with this technique. Adrian, looking absolutely wrecked, admits he's no match for her at this level, and honestly, it's a brutal assessment. The redhead's glare is ice cold, and Desire remembers this exact moment. She always aimed to break their spirits before the real battle. Ice crystals explode around them as the redhead unleashes a massive blast of power, and our boy braces for the worst. She launches forward with a glowing sword, and Desire knows she's going for Percival. It's the same pattern from the old timeline. The redhead's blade connects, sending Percival flying, and Desire feels a familiar wave of helplessness wash over him. You sure look like you can use some help. Bit off a bit more than you can chew, huh? Her words are cutting, and our boy hears every single syllable. Percival tries to regain his footing, but the redhead just laughs, and Desire can't stand it. She's deliberately crushing his will. The redhead proclaims Magiblade, summoning a huge, energy-infused sword, and Desire knows this is the attack that broke Percival before. But wait, she's mastered this move 10 years early. No way. Desire feels a cold dread creep in, realizing things are far worse than he thought. Desire's eye narrows. He remembers this tower, this storm, this feeling of impending doom from the old timeline. He leaps forward, grabbing Percival, and tries to pull him away, but the redhead is relentless, slicing through the air with that cursed blade. The tower is getting absolutely hammered by electrical surges, and chunks of stone are breaking off, falling around them. It's a straight-up disaster. Our boy hears every single word. You sure look like you can use some help. Bit off a bit more than you can chew, huh? And honestly, it's ice cold. Our boy Desire just cleared the shadow world, and the system is going wild with notifications. He's leveling up faster than anyone can keep track of. Everyone's murmuring, completely stunned. They can't believe he actually finished it, and honestly, they look kinda scared. The rankings flash on screen. Desire is number 1, East is number 2. Straight up domination, but you can feel the tension building. Someone just tossed a staff onto the floor and it shattered into pieces. And honestly, this dude had it coming. He was clearly jealous. Desire's jaw is clenched, grinding his teeth. He's remembering everything: the original timeline, the apocalypse, the people he lost. A stern-looking man in a suit is absolutely fuming. He's clearly not happy about being outranked by Desire, but our boy isn't even fazed. An old man, probably a master or something, is leaning in close to a blonde guy, whispering about challenges ahead. Desire's face, he's seen these challenges already. The old man's eye is glinting. You can tell he's sizing Desire up, trying to figure out what makes him tick. It's a power move, and Desire knows it. The old man says, "Haha, I can foresee many challenges ahead." But Desire, he's already lived through them, and that's a game changer. Desire is radiating confidence, and you can tell he's not just a student anymore. He's a veteran, a survivor, and he's ready for whatever comes next. Someone just dropped a tablet, and it's a fancy one with a blue gem on it. Everyone's staring, confused. The older professor is accusing Professor Bridget of leaking exam details, straight up claiming she's helping Desire. No way. Another professor demands proof, but Desire's already piecing it together. He remembers this exact scene: the tablet, the accusation, everything. But wait, Desire recognizes the tablet. It's the same one from the future, the one connected to the secret organization. He's seen where this leads. A blonde guy steps in, radiating authority. That's quite enough, Professor Fergman, he says, shutting down the argument. Desire's eyes lock onto the blonde's, and you can see the weight of the future in his gaze. This dude isn't just a teacher, he's involved. Close up on the blonde, he's intense with piercing green eyes. Desire's remembering a betrayal, a hidden agenda, and it's messing with him. The old professor glances at the blonde, a silent understanding passing between them. Desire feels a chill. These two are definitely working together. Everyone is looking at the tablet, wondering what it all means. But Desire, he knows exactly what it means, and it's not good. The tablet is glowing, displaying something. Whatever it is, it's the key to unlocking a dangerous secret, and our boy is the only one who sees it. Desire's explaining he wanted their opinions, but it's a total setup. He already knows everything. A blonde dude steps up, offering to read a document in the professor's place. It's a list of top single rankers. The list appears and Desire's mind is racing. He recognizes this moment, this list from the future. It's 2 o'clock and Desire remembers the 2 o'clock demon appearing right around now. He's on high alert. The blonde is raising his hand and Desire realizes the clockwork mechanism is stopping, just like it did before. The blonde recalls times when the steady mechanical noise ceased and Desire feels a chill. It's connected to the demon. Student looks shocked and Desire's remembering a betrayal. This dude was involved and it's messing with him. Our boy hears every single word, the whispers, the laughs, as the blonde casually shrugs it off. Desire seeing the blonde's face, and honestly, this dude is hiding something huge. The blonde confirms it with a simple, "I guess you could say that," and Desire knows the game has changed. Desire tries to downplay the situation, saying, "You don't have to put it that way," but Romantica is already suspicious. This dude, Adrian, just casually asks Desire to scoot over, then straight up drags a chair over to join them. Pram and a blue-haired kid are walking toward them, and Desire is remembering a time when things were actually going well. Pram thinks it was just the three of them, but Desire knows that's a lie. He remembers someone else being there, someone dangerous. Romantica reveals this other person almost got them eliminated, and our boy is visibly shaken, recalling the past. Desire's face is a mess and Romantica asks what, as she notices his reaction. She's ticked off and our boy is flailing, trying to explain they deserve to be in alpha class after passing the exam. However, Romantica cuts him off, saying she'll be nice and let this slide, which is a huge red flag. Romantica thanks Romantica for their sniping, and you can see Desire is caught off guard by her strange praise. Our boy is blushing and the blue-haired kid says, "Ha." Honestly, the tension in this room is insane. Desire's phone blows up with a notification, and it's Romantica calling. Seriously, this girl is relentless. Someone yells halt, and a high heel comes down, stopping a student in their tracks with another voice shouting yes. It's intense. Desire catches a glimpse of someone's hair, and honestly, he freezes. He remembers this face, this shade of blonde from the past. Bram and the blue-haired kid are hiding, peeking around a corner, clearly spooked by whatever's happening, and our boy is right there with them. Desire's face is completely blank, but you can tell he's reeling. He recognizes this situation, this fear, and it's not good. Desire is straight up studying, surrounded by glowing pages ripped from manga. He's absorbing everything he can from past timelines. He's meeting with a student after class, making plans, but she's clearly skeptical about something, yelling, "Are you serious?" A mysterious figure with unbelievably long hair just nods. It's creepy, unsettling, and Desire doesn't miss that silent acknowledgement. Desire tells the other student they'll meet at the training area, but the dark-haired guy looks totally thrown, wobbling like he's about to fall. And the long-haired figure is still just there, watching. Desire freezes. He remembers this moment. He knows this person. This dude is seeing ghosts from the future, and his face is a mess of shock. He's reliving a painful memory, no doubt. The other student asks, "So, what's our next step?" But Desire is lost in thought, staring right through her at the looming figure. Another student asks if they'll make it to alpha class, but our boy barely registers it, completely fixated on the woman with the long hair. She turns her head, her expression unreadable, and honestly, it sends shivers down our boy's spine. He knows exactly what she's capable of. Desire hears every single word, sees every single expression, but all he can focus on is the ghost from the past. This is going to be bad. Desire's trying to play it cool, but he's totally fixated on this woman. He's seen her before in a nightmare future. He overhears the other students talking about the Shadow Labyrinth, and Bro is immediately on edge, remembering exactly how awful that place is. Desire's mind races thinking about how to prepare for the end of the world, and he decides he needs to strengthen his party, no matter what. The long-haired woman finally speaks and Desire freezes. He knows that voice, that tone, and it sends a chill down his spine. She asks if he's been peeking, and honestly, the accusation hits different because he literally remembers her doing this exact thing in the past. Desire tries to deflect, saying he was just thinking, but she doesn't buy it for a second, and her gaze feels like a knife to his throat. Another student laughs, saying, "What's with that expression?" And our boy just wants to disappear, reliving the humiliation all over again. She turns away, muttering hum, and it's like a dismissal, a threat, and Desire feels utterly helpless, trapped in a loop of dread. Suddenly, everything goes dark and a monstrous form appears, all teeth and shadow, and Desire realizes the danger is closer than he thought. He's surrounded by swirling darkness, and you can feel the weight of the coming apocalypse pressing down on him, and it's terrifying. Suddenly, a massive cake appears on the table, and everyone's stunned. This isn't just any dessert. They learn it's from Bethwold Bakery, a place so popular you have to wait 3 days for a loaf of bread. No way. The long-haired woman reveals she got it as a reward for enduring that arrogant hog's shenanigans. Desire is instantly on alert. Her boy glances at Romantica and Pram, and they seem just as confused as he is. What is going on with this cake? Desire's eyes widen. He remembers this cake, this bakery, and the chaos it caused in the previous timeline, and it's not good. He feels a strange energy emanating from the cake, and it sends a shiver down his spine. This isn't a treat, it's a trap. Desire's vision narrows, focusing on the cake, and you can see the dread creeping into his eyes. He's remembering the disaster. The woman casually watches him, a smug look on her face, and our boy knows she's playing with him, testing him. He tries to ignore it to focus on the present, but the memories are overwhelming, and he can't shake the feeling of impending doom. Desire's gaze is locked on the cake, and honestly, it's like staring into the abyss. He knows exactly what's about to happen. Desire's face is a mix of shock and confusion, and honestly, he's totally thrown off guard. This dude, Adrian, grabs Desire's sleeve, squeezing tight and muttering something under his breath, but it's not what you think. Adrian's eyes are downcast and he looks unsettled, mumbling about something being off, and our boy can tell he's hiding something. The long-haired woman, Romantica, smiles softly, but it doesn't reach her eyes, and Desire feels a chill. She knows more than she lets on. She asks if that book he's holding is a magic tome, and if he's interested in magic, but it's a loaded question and Desire can feel it. Desire stammers, trying to play it cool, but the woman's gaze is intense, and he's clearly uncomfortable. She casually scans the room, and her eyes land on a massive chocolate cake, and Desire's mind races. He remembers this from the previous timeline. Everyone is stunned by the cake's appearance, and it's a massive, elaborate thing, and honestly, it looks like trouble. Our boy's vision is locked on the cake, and he remembers the chaos it caused, the betrayal, the disaster, and it's all flooding back. She grins, a truly unsettling expression, and Desire knows she's testing him, pushing him, and you can feel the tension building. Desire's hand tightens into a fist, and you can feel the tension radiating off him. He's reliving that awful moment. The scene shifts to a ravaged landscape, a continent utterly destroyed, and it's a stark reminder of everything at stake. He scans old documents, and a sketch of a familiar face jumps out. It's Erica, and our boy is instantly thrown back to the past. Desire remembers Erica's disappearance, the investigation, the dead ends, and honestly, it's a gut punch knowing what she faced. Desire's back in class, but it's not a normal lecture. Everyone's getting briefed on how dire things are. Apparently, humanity has a 99.9% clearance rate on shadow worlds, but that still leaves a sliver of a problem. Straight up, humanity is at war with these shadow worlds, and this discovery has changed everything. Key soul crystals, minerals obtained by clearing those shadow worlds, and they're powerful. These crystals have 2 layers, a hard external mana layer and internal mana locked inside. The problem is you can't use the internal mana directly because the external layer keeps it contained. However, 50 years ago, the Mage's Tower figured out a process to unlock it all. This dude is creating a tiny hole within the crystal, releasing the internal mana. Our boy is seeing this process for the first time, but it's like a memory from another life, a past he shouldn't remember. And honestly, Desire knows exactly what this means, and it's not good because it's the key to everything that went wrong. So this process unlocks the full potential of the crystals, and everyone's marveling at the tech. But Desire, he's seeing flashing images, trains, pods, and strange diagrams like memories fighting to surface. He knows this tech, he really knows it, and that's because it directly led to the apocalypse he desperately tried to prevent. The professor starts a Q&A asking who developed this enchanting process, but silence, a thick, heavy silence. Our boy hears every single word, the whispers, the averted glances, and it's clear nobody wants to answer. The professor calls on someone and this dude blurts out, "Why, yes, ma'am," but it's clearly forced, like he's terrified. The professor zeroes in on a blonde student who's been subtly nodding. You can feel the tension building. She's giving a carefully constructed answer, all smiles, but Desire sees right through it. She's hiding something. However, a smug guy interrupts, pointing out the blonde's hesitant response, and honestly, Desire wants to shut him up. Desire's face is stone, but inside, he's screaming. He remembers this exact moment, this exact conversation, and the disaster that followed. The blonde student is explaining the process, all polite and professional, but Desire is straight up seeing red. He knows this is a lie. She's carefully framing her words, but Desire recognizes the pattern. This is exactly how things unfolded before the apocalypse, and it's infuriating. A smug guy interrupts, questioning her explanation, and Desire's jaw tightens. He remembers this guy, and this dude had it coming. Desire's face is a mask, but inside he's reliving the past. He remembers the exact words, the exact dismissive tone, and the fallout that followed. The blonde tries to smooth things over, but Desire's mind is racing. He knows this is a critical moment, a turning point he needs to alter. Two students are arguing in the hallway, and Desire is watching them with a strange detachment. It's like watching a play he's seen 1,000 times. He's remembering the aftermath of this argument, the betrayal, the broken trust, and the cascade of events it triggered. It's a heavy weight. Our boy hears everything, the whispers, the pointed stares, and it's clear this blonde is being ostracized. It's brutal, and he knows why. One of the students yells, "Please give us a quest, ma'am," but the professor just freezes. Something is seriously wrong. The professor jolts backwards, stiff as a board, and Desire's mind is screaming. He knows this reaction. He really knows it, and it's terrifying. Desire instantly recognizes the look. It's the same vacant expression she had before everything went to hell. The professor suddenly jolts, and Desire's mind is racing. He knows this is the moment things started spiraling out of control. A smug student questions the blonde's abilities, and Desire grits his teeth. This dude had it coming. Desire is flooded with memories of this exact argument, the dismissive tone, and the terrible consequences that followed. The blonde is clearly being ostracized, and our boy hears every single whisper and pointed stare aimed her way. Someone shouts for a quest, but the professor remains unresponsive, lost in her own thoughts. Desire's eyes narrow. He remembers this silence, this hesitation, and the looming disaster it foreshadowed. He sees a glint in the professor's eye, a flicker of something dark, and it sends a chill down his spine. Desire's gaze is fixed on the city skyline, and he's remembering a time when those towers stood tall before they crumbled to dust. Desire is totally focused, channeling magic through this ancient book. Pages of faces swirl around him, like he's accessing all their stories. He's running, breathless, toward the academy, but it looks like he's already being watched from the rooftops. Someone is tearing apart a wooden door, splintering the frame, and our boy is about to walk right into it. Desire hits the ground hard, straight up floored by whatever just happened, and the impact sends dust flying. A shadowy figure looms over him, and Desire jolts, clearly recognizing something about this dude, a past he desperately tried to erase. The figure reaches for Desire, a hand outstretched, and our boy is frozen, memories crashing back. He's seen this moment before. Someone is bringing bread to a sick person, claiming they're too ill to leave the house. Seems innocent enough, right? Desire hears every word, every explanation, and he knows this is a lie, a carefully constructed facade. The hooded figure receiving the bread is completely anxious, nervously glancing around, and you can feel the tension building. The figure accepts the bread, offering thanks, but something is off. Desire realizes this whole scene is a repeat of a tragic event, and he's the only one who remembers. No way, the figure just ripped off his own arm, revealing more arms. It's a whole mess of limbs under there. Desire's helper is tossed aside like a rag doll, and the shadowy dude just keeps coming, all stomps and fury. He's crushing everything, bread, limbs, everything, and Desire's ally is screaming, begging him to stop. Squash, squash, squash. The sounds echo as the figure relentlessly attacks, and our boy's friend is getting obliterated. It's all crushed now, and Desire is left staring at the wreckage, completely stunned. He's seen this happen before, but it still hits hard. The figure turns, and Desire's face drops. He recognizes that mustache, that arrogant sneer. It's Saron, a villain from his past life. Saron is stepping over the remains, looking down at Desire with pure contempt, and honestly, this dude had it coming. Desire's ally is crawling, desperately trying to reach the bread, murmuring about it being my bread. It's heartbreaking, you feel. The hooded figure is barely visible now, utterly defeated, and Desire is remembering how this all played out before, how helpless he felt. Our boy sees everything, the despair, the helplessness, and he's vowing to change things this time, to protect everyone he can. Saron's unleashing a massive wave of energy, a swirling red attack aimed right at Desire and the others. Desire shouts for maces to move forward, but it looks like a direct hit is unavoidable. He's trying to protect everyone. No way, a green barrier explodes outward, intercepting the red attack, and it's strong, completely halting the force. Desire's helper is analyzing the magic, realizing the defense is surprisingly well formulated and complex, but something's off. Saron just smirks, and Desire's helper is completely thrown, tossed aside like a broken toy. This dude doesn't play fair. Saron's forces are advancing, their weapons glowing red, and Desire's ally is still crawling for that bread, mumbling, my bread. You feel for him. Desire's ally is utterly defeated, broken, and helpless, and our boy remembers this exact moment, this crushing despair from the previous timeline. Desire's eyes are blazing. He's seeing everything again, the helplessness, the wasted potential, and he's absolutely determined to rewrite this moment. Saron's forces are charging, blades flashing, and Desire's ally is barely holding on, bracing for another attack. It's brutal. Desire's helper declares the defense magic has an enchanting process, but there's a however coming, and you know it's gonna be bad. Desire's ally is getting wrecked, blades flying everywhere, but Desire's helper is already analyzing the enemy's technique. Saron's forces yell intruders and stop them, straight up ordering everyone to attack. Desire's helper notices something strange with the enchanting process, but pauses. Something seems off. A huge blast of energy rips through the area, and Desire's ally barely dodges, tumbling to the ground. Desire shouts for his ally to move, but the attack connects. No way, it's a direct hit, and the damage looks brutal. The green shield flares up, stopping the attack cold. It's a complex defense, perfectly timed and formed. Saron smirking, and Desire's helper is sent flying, completely dismissed. This dude doesn't hold back at all. Desire's eyes lock onto Saron, and he remembers the despair, the helplessness, the feeling of being utterly powerless. Saron's forces charge, weapons glowing, and Desire's ally is trying to get up, bracing for another assault. It's a nightmare. Desire and Saron exchange a look, and Desire declares, let us proceed. You can feel the tension building, bro. Desire's eyes narrow. He remembers this moment, the exact weight of Saron's gaze, and it's sending chills down his spine. Saron's forces move to restrain Desire, yelling, stop right there. But our boy isn't worried. He's already planning his next move. Desire scans the area, his gaze landing on a glowing object, the second-tier soul stone, Luchinel's teardrop, and he knows exactly what that means. He reaches for the teardrop, hand outstretched, ignoring the guards. He needs that stone, and he needs it now. But before he can grab it, a monstrous figure descends, blocking his path, a hulking brute with a terrifying grin. The figure lets out a chilling FSHHH. As it moves, radiating a powerful aura, Desire's ally is completely outmatched. Desire's hand closes around the teardrop. Finally, it is within my grasp, but he feels a sickening dread creep in. He hears a voice, distorted and cruel. So this is it. and realizes this isn't just about the stone, it's a trap. Desire is deep in study, surrounded by floating pages. It's like he's pulling knowledge directly from the source material. But the peaceful vibe is shattered. A group of masked figures appears, radiating menace and whispering threats. This dude is immediately on edge. He feels the hostile intent, the bloodlust. He knows these outers are dangerous. Suddenly, one of the masked swordsmen lunges with a glowing blade, aiming straight for Desire. It happens so fast. He barely manages to deflect the attack with his own sword, but the force sends him stumbling backward. Our boy hears the mocking laughter of the masked figures. He, they sneer, and it's clear they're enjoying this. He's thrown into a fiery landscape, flames erupting around him as the attack continues. No way this is a coincidence. Desire grits his teeth, focusing on the attackers, 4 magicians and 3 swordsmen, but he notes their power levels are surprisingly low. One of the masked figures steps forward, leveling a sword at Desire and delivering the cold line, "Nothing personal, kid." But Desire remembers this moment. He knows exactly what's coming, the tragedy that unfolded in the previous timeline, and honestly, he's not backing down. Desire launches forward with a burst of speed. He's calling it Doomfist, and it's straight up terrifying. He's sent flying backward, crashing into the other masked figures, but our boy isn't even phased. A green-skinned guy with a bizarre head shape watches the fight, impressed by Desire's physicality. He's laughing like this is all a game. Up close, the green guy's face is unsettling. A single red eye glares out, and Desire realizes he's facing someone dangerous. Desire unleashes a chain of purple energy, aiming to bind the green guy, but the man scoffs, calling him too slow. Desire's sword flashes, a brilliant blue streak cutting through the air. The sheer force of it sends ripples through the scene. He's moving so fast, a shimmering trail follows him, but he's suddenly stopped short, hitting an invisible barrier. Our boy hears a disoriented "what the?" He's trapped, surrounded by an unknown power, and it's a feeling he knows all too well. Everything starts to crumble around him, the walls collapsing inward, and he's left reeling, no escape in sight. He knows there's nowhere to dodge, nowhere to run, but he takes a step forward anyway, bracing himself for whatever's coming. Desire leaps forward, trying to intercept, but the green-skinned guy is already pulling a teammate with him. The floor gives way under their feet, sending them tumbling into a massive chasm. It's crumbling like sand. Desire's teammate yells out, trusting him to save them, but Desire realizes something's off. This isn't the original timeline. He remembers this collapse. It's where Pram fell, where everything started to go wrong. But this time, the angle is different. Desire strains, extending his hand, trying to grab his teammate, but the chasm widens, swallowing them both. The boy's eyes widen in horror. He's seeing a new future unfold, a future where even his foreknowledge isn't enough. The green-skinned guy is laughing, enjoying the chaos, and Desire can't believe this dude is actually reveling in their potential deaths. Desire's teammate cries out, pleading for help, and honestly, it's brutal to hear. Everything is falling apart, the ground cracking beneath his feet, and for a split second, Desire feels completely helpless. But then he grits his teeth. He's not going down without a fight, even if this means rewriting everything again. Desire's teammate tumbles into the darkness, and our boy doesn't hesitate. He dives right after them. He's plummeting, desperately reaching for a handhold, but it's just crumbling stone and shadow. Suddenly, a hand shoots out of the darkness and grabs his teammate. It's not Desire, though, and that's a problem. Desire's eyes widen. He recognizes that grip, that stance. This isn't just anyone. It's his master, Desir Herrman from the future. Master Desire pulls his teammate to safety, then turns to our boy with a cold look. "I suppose I've done my part." Another figure responds, "Right, Master Desire," and honestly, the tone is sending chills down our spines. The green-skinned guy starts causing a massive rumble, and the whole place is shaking apart, like he wanted this. They're now in some kind of underground tunnel, water pouring in from the walls, and Desire is straight up drenched. The tunnel is flooding fast, and Master Desire is just standing there watching it happen. What is this dude planning? Master Desire raises a hand, a glowing blue crystal appearing in his palm, and declares, "Regardless, my objective has been achieved." Desire stares at Master Desire, and it hits him. This isn't about saving anyone, it's about recreating a specific event from the future. He remembers this moment exactly. Our boy Desire is deep in study, surrounded by glowing pages. He's reviewing everything, prepping for what's to come. But someone's been watching him. A shadowy figure mutters, "For my bread," and it's clear this isn't about a snack. This dude, a mysterious tracker, reveals he's been following Desire, marking him with mana the moment they bumped into each other. The tracker's target, a red-clad man who's furious. Apparently, Desire and a sniper have seriously messed with his plans. That blue-haired brat and the sniper, he roars, and honestly, this dude had it coming. The tracker tries to launch a spell aiming at Desire, but it just doesn't work. He's totally confused. Desire sees the failed attack and his expression shifts. He remembers this moment, this exact failure from the previous timeline. Our boy realizes the tracker's spell is too basic, too elementary. It can't penetrate whatever protection is now in place. He's recalling the power he's built, the defenses he's created, and it's a full circle moment seeing this arrogant tracker fail. And Desire knows exactly why this spell didn't work, because he's rewritten the future. It's a satisfying burn. Desire's straight up stunned, impossible, as the tracker's spell gets completely nullified by an unseen force. The tracker yells, "Don't move," but Desire just stares him down, analyzing everything. "What the heck is he?" someone shouts, and everyone's eyes are on our boy as water starts splashing around his feet. Desire's recalling the past, remembering this exact moment, how a first circle magician couldn't break through his defenses back then. He knows the tracker's attack is meaningless, but the guy keeps coming, refusing to believe what's happening. "Stay where you are if you want to stay in one piece," Desire warns, and honestly, the tracker should listen. The tracker ignores him and charges forward, but Desire sidesteps with impossible grace, letting the attack sail past. Our boy hears the scoffing, "Ha," and it's clear the tracker's arrogance is about to get him wrecked. "Then do it," Desire challenges, and the tracker just stops, completely baffled. But then a glowing blue crystal appears in the tracker's hand, and Desire's eyes widen. He remembers exactly what that means. Desire's clenching his fist, muttering, "This brat is underestimating me, but I am Kraken," and you can feel the shift. The tracker swings, confident he'll knock Desire out, but our boy isn't worried. He's already activating gravity control. Desire moves like a blur, dodging the attack, and the tracker is left swinging at air, completely off balance. He's accelerating the attack back toward the tracker, using gravity to amplify the force, and the guy looks genuinely scared. The tracker stumbles, his armor cracking under the sudden weight, and Desire's just standing there, radiating power. "Arg," the tracker screams, but it's drowned out by the sound of collapsing stone as the floor gives way beneath him. Everyone's shocked. What the? How can he cast this fast? But Desire isn't even breathing hard. No, the tracker sputters, realizing a first circle magician shouldn't be able to wield fourth circle gravity magic. Desire's grabbing the glowing blue crystal the tracker dropped, and you know exactly what that is because he remembers. "I'm taking this," Desire states, and honestly, the tracker's defeated look is everything. Desire's smirking, explaining how his magic works, and he's straight up offering to tell the tracker everything. "Wanna know how it works? I can tell you if you want," Desire says, but then he adds, "But first you have to pay for my bread." No way. Desire unleashes a massive blast of energy, and the tracker's getting absolutely demolished by it. The tracker's screaming, flying backward through the air as the blast continues, and Desire's just standing there, totally calm. Everyone's stunned. They can't believe Desire just pulled that off, a first circle magician using fourth circle magic. Desire casually grabs the blue crystal the tracker dropped, declaring he's taking it, and the look on the tracker's face is priceless. Now they're back at the academy, and Desire's party is enjoying the 120 gold Desire earned. "Haha, it was our pleasure," Desire says, and honestly, it's good to see them all smiling after everything. I hate to imagine what would have happened if the Outers had taken that soul stone, and our boy knows exactly how bad it could have been. "That's great, Desire," Romantica says, and you can tell she's relieved about the party funds, but Desire's already thinking ahead. Desire's turning down the gold, saying it's nothing compared to the tower's support, but he's totally humble bragging, claiming it's still a fine reward. "Because that is why I must refuse the gold," he says, and then drops the bag. But he's not after the money, he's got another request. "MS Prelude, do you remember what I told you after class?" Desire asks, and she looks nervous, like seriously nervous. I don't need a monetary reward, he repeats, and our boy is straight up asking for a favor, something else entirely. What precisely? MS Prelude asks, sweat beading on her forehead, and you can tell she's bracing for something awful. Desire is straight up diving into the past, flipping through a book of memories, or more like future events he needs to change. He arrives in Altia, the city of Magitech, and it's huge, a sprawling metropolis humming with power. But he's not here for the sights. Our boy is headed for the Mage's Tower, the headquarters, and the place where everything started to go wrong in his first life. He's stepping inside and the tower is overgrown. Vines and trees are everywhere like nature's reclaiming it. Weird. Inside it's all polished stone and glowing lights, a stark contrast to the wild exterior. This place is definitely high-tech. Desire meets up with Romantica and Adrian, and honestly, they're already talking smack about Zod, the Tower Master. Zod can be rather odd at times, Adrian says, like it's a massive understatement. He's activating some kind of panel and blue energy swirls around his hand. Whatever this is, it's serious and he's focused. Desire scans through endless shelves of books and you can feel the weight of his knowledge, the futures he knows, the disasters he's trying to prevent. He finds the right book and his face, it's like he's reliving a nightmare. This dude is seeing something truly awful from the previous timeline. They're greeted with greetings, Tower Master, but our boy knows a greeting doesn't fix everything. Something's about to go down and he's ready. Desire's hearing the legend of the greatest magician ever, and it's about him from a past life. He's staring at his former comrade, and you can tell Desire's mind is racing, remembering everything. Suddenly, Zod is squeezing Desire's shoulder a little too hard, and our boy is visibly uncomfortable. Zod drops a bombshell, but to me he was just a friend, and Desire's face just falls. Zod is holding a book and Desire, he knows that book. It's from the future, a relic of the apocalypse. Zod declares him his dearest friend, and honestly, it sends chills down Desire's spine. Zod thanks Desire for understanding, but it's a creepy, calculated gratitude that sets our boy on edge. They're settling in for a chess game, and Zod admits he'd prefer more leisure and tea, but has a meeting. Zod asks if Desire prefers the Empire style or the Western kingdoms, testing him, gauging his knowledge. Zod bows, then explains he has a meeting in precisely 27 minutes. This dude is playing games, and Desire knows it. Desire's old friend is laying out the rules for this chess game. It's not standard chess, bro. Chessboard is insane, straight-up military strategy, with warships replacing queens and supply routes built in. Not moving a pawn establishes a supply route. This isn't a game, it's a war simulation, and Desire is picking up what Zod is putting down. Zod casually explains they each get extra pieces, 4 bishops and 4 knights, but Desire's expression, he's connecting dots. Zod makes his first move and Desire's eyes narrow. He's seeing a pattern, a memory of the apocalypse unfolding right on the board. Our boy hears the clock ticking, each chime echoing the pressure of this twisted game, and Zod wishes him best of luck. Zod responds with "you too," but it feels less like a friendly gesture and more like a threat, and Desire knows this dude is sizing him up. With a clack, Zod sends a piece flying, and Desire's mind flashes back. He remembers this exact moment, this exact move from the previous timeline. Another clack as Zod pushes a piece forward and Desire's jaw tightens. He's reliving a nightmare, trapped in a loop of the past. Desire's gaze is locked on Zod and you can see the green in his eye. He's remembering everything and it's terrifying. Desire accepts Zod's wager, but something's clearly wrong. He's seeing flashes of a future that almost happened. Zod's smug and Desire knows he's being tested, but he's focused on the chessboard. It's not just a game, it's a replay. Desire makes his move and Zod's reaction is instant, a flicker of surprise quickly masked, and our boy knows he hit a nerve. Zod leans back, examining Desire with a predatory gaze, and honestly, it's kinda creepy how much this dude enjoys messing with people. Zod admits Desire has a point, but it's backhanded. He's letting Desire think he's figured it out, but he's still in control. A close-up on a figure biting their lip. It's someone off-panel, and Desire remembers this exact moment of silent desperation. We see a glimpse of someone's legs and a bloodied mouth. Desire's recalling a brutal loss, a sacrifice he couldn't prevent. The boy hears every single word, the whispers, the laughs, and you can feel the weight of the past crushing him. He's reliving the apocalypse. Our boy Desire is straight up surrounded by pages ripped from his own manga. It's like his past, present, and future are colliding. He's in some fancy hall and someone's raising a hand to, what? Stop time. It's a weird move, but Desire's eyes lock onto it. Clack, whatever that hand did, it worked. Everything freezes and Desire feels a massive shift, like he's become someone else entirely. This dude's face is unreadable, but he's looking right at Desire and it's unsettling to say the least. You can feel the tension building. Desire's remembering something, a habit of his when he's deep in thought. But it's not his thought process right now, it's the memories of whoever he's become. Everyone's betting on the fight, shouting about Zod. It's all so casual, but Desire knows this isn't just some game. Desire's rubbing his temple, clearly trying to process everything. But honestly, this feels less like a headache and more like a full-on identity crisis. In the faces, Desire sees faces from the future, from the apocalypse he worked so hard to prevent. It's like a twisted slideshow of failure. Our boy hears every single word, the whispers, the laughs, the doubts. It's a brutal reminder of how far he's come and how much is at stake. Chessboard appears, the pieces set up for a game. But this isn't just chess, it's a metaphor. It's a battle of wills, and Desire is a piece in someone else's strategy. Desire calmly states he's always been himself, and this other guy, Zod, confirms it like it's a revelation. But wait, Zod isn't impressed. He casually asks if he can take Desire's secretary like a possession. 25 minutes crawl by and Zod admits he didn't expect to lose. It's a cold admission, dripping with arrogance. Zod brushes off any praise, demanding no empty flattery. This dude is seriously full of himself. He finally asks what Desire wants, and our boy's expression is calculating. This isn't a negotiation, it's a power play. Desire remembers everything, the faces of those who died, the destruction, the failures. It's hitting him all at once, and it's brutal. He's seeing visions of the future, the apocalypse he fought so hard to prevent. You can feel the weight of it all. Our boy hears the whispers, the doubts, the laughter. It's a relentless barrage of negativity, and honestly, it's messed up. A chessboard materializes, the pieces perfectly arranged. It's not just a game, it's a metaphor for the battle unfolding between them. Desire's face is unreadable, but he's locking eyes with Zod. He's a pawn in Zod's game, but he's not going down without a fight. Desire lays down a condition. His idea must be as valuable as the tower's support. Straight up, he's testing Zod. Zod glances at a nearby assistant, then back at Desire, clearly assessing the claim. He's not impressed, but he's intrigued. Desire's eyes lock onto something in the room, a pile of enormous blue crystals. No way, he recognizes those from the future. He rises abruptly, a flicker of memory crossing his face. Those crystals were key to a failed experiment, a disaster he's desperately trying to avoid. Zod asks what Desire is looking at, but it's clear our boy is miles away, lost in a vision of what once was. Desire holds one of the crystals, and Zod, after a long, calculating stare, calls him odd. It's an understatement. A burst of energy erupts from the crystal, and Desire grins. It's a dangerous gamble, but he's pushing his limits. The crystal shatters, sending shards flying. Zod's expression shifts from amusement to confusion. Something's wrong. Zod's hands begin to glow with a strange blue light. It's a reaction to the energy, a power he doesn't understand. Zod clutches his arms, clearly in pain, and our boy sees exactly what he expected. This dude has a weakness to that type of energy. Desire asks to examine the crystal, and Zod, surprisingly, agrees. It's a little too easy, honestly. Desire raises the crystal, and a strange light emanates from it. But this isn't just any crystal, it's an unenchanted soul stone from the future. Our boy's eyes widen. He remembers this tech, this failure. It was a disaster waiting to happen, and it's responding to him. Zod asks what's going on, but Desire can barely process it. He's seeing flashes of the past, the apocalypse he barely escaped. The crystal can transmit sound, and Zod is clearly shocked. Desire's got a plan, but it's risky. Zod and his assistant exchange confused looks, and Desire feels a wave of exhaustion. This is taking a toll on him. He instructs them to place the crystal on the table, and they obey without question. It's a power play, and he's taking control. Desire leans back, breathing heavily. You can see the weight of the future on his shoulders, the burden of knowing what's to come. Zod drops a bomb. Only a madman would refuse this power. He's pushing Desire, testing his resolve, and honestly, it's working. The city skyline looms outside, a reminder of everything at stake. Desire staring right through Zod, planning his next move. Desire grabs Zod's arm and no way, he's activating some kind of seal on the back of his hand. He's babbling about ice cream, trying to act normal, but his face is a dead giveaway. He's desperately stalling. Zod isn't buying it for a second and straight up grabs Desire's hand, forcing him to move. This dude is aggressive. Desire is sprinting, dragging Zod and Pram along with him, and honestly, the speed is kinda terrifying. They skid to a halt and the three of them are beaming. A day off after all this, it feels wrong. But the screen cuts to black and suddenly we're staring at the word 13 in blood-red letters. Our boy feels it, something massive is coming. A wall of static fills the screen and I can practically feel the dread. Desire remembers this countdown, this absolute failure, and you realize he's not just reliving the past, he's running out of time. Our boy Desire is straight up radiating power, clutching this weird book and surrounded by swirling energy. He's clearly gearing up for something huge. The scene cuts to a lavish party full of nobles toasting the empire and the tower's patronage. Everything seems peaceful, honestly. They're all celebrating, boasting about their bright future, and this dude Desire is about to walk right into the middle of it. Someone spots Miss Azist and the chatter immediately shifts. You can feel the tension building as all eyes turn to her. And then someone grabs her arm. It's a really aggressive move and our boy Desire is witnessing it all. The guy sneers, asking, "Oh, is that you, Miss Azist?" Straight up trying to intimidate her in front of everyone. No way. Desire's face, it's like a switch flipped. He remembers this exact moment from the future. He remembers what happens next. Another noble steps forward, smirking, and Desire's grip tightens on that book. It's like he's bracing for impact. The guy actually laughs and says, "How is he even still here?" And our boy hears every single word, every mocking tone. Desire's eyes blaze, and honestly, this dude had it coming. He's about to unleash a world of hurt. This dude Elheim Triquency steps forward, declaring he has a prior appointment with Miss Azist, and everyone immediately recognizes him. He explains he was her mentor during the entrance exam, and the crowd nods, understanding the connection. But Desire, he's flashing back. Desire remembers this exact moment from the future, and a cold dread washes over him. He knows what's about to happen. Elheim asks for a private discussion and Desire's face is unreadable. He's playing it cool, but inside, alarms are screaming. They step out onto the balcony and Elheim casually drops that he thought Desire disliked commoners just as much as everyone else. But Desire reveals he only pretends to dislike them, and honestly, it throws Elheim for a loop. This dude is full of surprises. Elheim starts rambling about nobility, superiority, and the fear of being surpassed, and Desire's mind is racing. He's laying out his entire worldview. Desire realizes Elheim is just baiting people, manipulating their emotions with the slightest provocation. This guy is a master puppeteer. Elheim asks HM, "What sort of plan do you mean?" And Desire can practically see the gears turning in his head. He turns to Miss Azist and you can feel the tension thickening. Desire knows this conversation is about to get dangerous and fast. Elheim raises his glass in a toast and Desire calmly reciprocates. But this isn't a friendly gesture, it's a test. Elheim launches into a story about House Nifleka, revealing they slaughtered anyone suspected of supporting the populists. It's brutal. The tale details the execution of men, women, children, and the elderly, and Desire visibly stiffens. He remembers this story. He's flashing back to the original timeline, a timeline where this horrific event shaped everything. You can feel the weight of that memory. Elheim finishes and Desire asks if he's trying to imply something. Elheim smoothly transitions to praising Azist's lineage. This dude Elheim asks about Desire's opinion of commoners and Desire's response is ice cold. He claims to despise them, but only pretends to. Elheim's eyebrows shoot up. He wasn't expecting that. Desire is playing a dangerous game and it's working. Elheim begins to rant about the arrogance of commoners and the necessity of maintaining social order. It's a lot. Desire realizes Elheim is deliberately provoking a reaction, testing boundaries. This guy is a straight-up manipulator. Suddenly, Elheim grabs Desire's wrist and Desire's eyes widen in shock. No way, this dude just made a move. Elheim corrects himself, saying Ost King's crown, and our boy instantly knows something's off. Azist calmly corrects him, it's Azist Rogpolis. She's ice cold and Desire can tell she's not happy. Elheim's eyes narrow and he asks Desire what he thinks of commoners. Straight up, a loaded question. Desire drops a bomb claiming he despises them, but only as an act. He's playing with fire and Elheim notices. Elheim launches into a rant about social order, but Desire sees right through it. This is all a test, a provocation. No way. Elheim grabs Desire's wrist and Desire's eyes widen. This dude is escalating fast. Elheim accuses Azist of feigning ignorance and Desire's face hardens. You can feel the tension building. Elheim says because you were afraid of them and Desire's memory floods back. He remembers this fear. Our boy sees Azist's golden eye flash with a terrifying intensity. It's the same look she had during the apocalypse. Azist, Elheim yells as a massive blast of mana erupts. It's overwhelming and Desire is speechless. Elheim is losing it, demanding Azist leave the Blue Moon party, straight up accusing her of being a liability. Desire isn't letting it slide. He tells Elheim to blame him if he wants to, and honestly, this dude is playing with fire. Desire throws out his own idea of a party, a scene with Azist and another girl, and Elheim is completely thrown off guard. Suddenly, a crest appears and Desire's eyes widen. He remembers this symbol and it's not good. It's the Ost family crest. Elheim grabs the crest, ripping it from its place, and Desire's mind is racing. He knows exactly what this means. The crest breaks apart in Elheim's hand and Desire feels a chill. This isn't just a symbol, it's a severance. You can see the weight of past timelines crashing down on Desire. He remembers everything and it's hitting him hard. Our boy Desire is surrounded by swirling energy and floating manga pages, straight up channeling all his past lives. He's summoned to a celebratory gathering, but something feels off. A professor is looking at him with intense scrutiny. The professor's face contorts in a weird grimace and he shouts Azist. No idea what that means, but it's clearly not good. Suddenly, the professor is stepping back, shocked, as someone yells, "Professor, something just happened." A group announces they're leaving, claiming an urgent matter, but Desire can feel the dismissal in their words. Another man declares it was a splendid celebration, but Desire knows that's a total lie. They're all being fake. The professor's expression is a mix of surprise and disbelief. He's clearly processing something huge. Someone asks what Desire's name is again, and honestly, our boy hears every single word, the confusion, the doubt. Inside the academy, someone thinks a cute robot is from the theme park, but Desire sees something else entirely. He stares at the robot and a memory floods back, a terrifying image from the previous timeline. You can feel the dread building. This dude remembers a disaster. Romantica explains Desire could have been in serious danger if he hadn't intervened, and straight up says Desire's inexperience almost got him killed. Desire admits Romantica is right, but winces. You can see he's not thrilled to hear it. The professor points a finger and accuses Desire of lacking experience, claiming it prevented him from spotting the enemy. The professor flashes a creepy grin and someone, a girl named Sophie, totally loses it, yelling Nuo. Sophie jolts, pointing at the grin and clearly freaking out. This dude's smile is sending chills down her spine. Desire covers his face, overwhelmed. He recognizes that grin from the previous timeline, and it means bad things are coming. Suddenly, a hand reaches out and grabs at blue-haired Pram, and she screams, "Huh!" Chaos erupts instantly. Pram yells, "Pram, we gotta get out of here now," but it's too late. Something has already hit Desire. Desire crashes to the ground with a clunk, while Pram dashes away. It's a total mess. The screen fades to black and a voice whispers, and honestly, you can feel the dread building again. This is not good. The professor is giving a speech, rallying everyone, and honestly, it feels off. Desire's eyes are scanning the crowd, but not for inspiration. Desire, Romantica, and Pram are huddled together, looking seriously worried. They're clearly not buying whatever this guy is selling. Suddenly, Desire spots something in the crowd and freezes. A face from the previous timeline, a magician he thought was long gone. He remembers this guy, a fourth circle magician who is impossible to take down and a key player in the apocalypse. Our boy is seeing red. The group starts running, desperate to escape, but it's a chaotic mess. Pram is yelling at everyone to move now. Desire gets hit and goes flying, crashing to the ground while Pram barely manages to dodge. Straight up brutal. Sophie is absolutely losing it, screaming far ahead at someone. No way is she letting that slide. Desire is limping, trying to get up, but it's clear he's hurt, and Romantica is frantically gathering scattered books. Our boy hears everything, whispers, laughter, and the professor's words. At least cut out evening training. It's all hitting hard. Desire remembers his previous shots had zero effect on this magician, and he groans, but he can't become a third circle magician overnight. You feel for him. Desire's teacher is laying out a plan, promising to show him the quickest way to become a third circle magician. It sounds too good to be true. But it's a trap. The teacher casually raises a can of soda, then launches it straight at Desire's head with insane speed. Can connects with a sickening thwack and Desire reels back, clutching his forehead. You can practically feel the impact. Our boy sees stars, a buzzing FZZZT ringing in his ears, and honestly, it's a brutal, unexpected attack. Pram is absolutely horrified, her face contorted in a scream while the sound effects pile on. Crunch, crush, CRN and an NCH. It's awful. Desire remembers this exact moment from the previous timeline, the teacher's casual cruelty, and the despair that followed. It's hitting him hard. He realizes the teacher isn't trying to help him become stronger, but to break his spirit, a third circle magician casually demolishing a first circle. Desire feels a wave of helplessness wash over him, remembering how useless he was back then, unable to protect anyone. You can see the past trauma. However, the teacher doesn't stop mocking Desire with "what I'm about to teach you is," and our boy is seething. He won't let this stand. Desire grits his teeth, a dangerous glint in his eye. This dude is about to unleash a whole new level of fury, and honestly, this teacher had it coming. Desire starts spinning a small red ball on his finger, explaining it's an upgraded training method, straight up a more intense version of what he used to do. The ball accelerates, glowing with a strange energy, and Adrian just stares, mouth agape. No way she's seen anything like this before. But the ball suddenly shoots forward with terrifying speed, and Desire instinctively raises his hand, feeling a sharp twang. He remembers this from the previous timeline, and it's not good. Desire's got a book glowing with blue energy, surrounded by images of people. It's all the memories he's seen while regressing. This dude is at the academy, casually spinning a can like it's nothing, but everyone's watching him like he's crazy. He makes a perfect sphere of air pressure with the can, straight up impossible, and people are losing it. A girl, Romantica, rushes toward him with a towel, shouting, "Here, Romantica," but she looks off. She's practically vibrating with shock, staring at the can. You can tell something's really wrong with her reaction. Romantica grabs the can, her fingers tightening until it starts to buckle and dent. She's applying insane force. The can's crushed, but she doesn't stop. She's completely fixated on destroying it, tears streaming down her face. Desire hears the metallic clang of the can. He remembers this exact moment from the previous timeline, and it wasn't pretty. She's breathing heavily, holding the destroyed can, and Desire realizes this isn't about the can at all. It's about her trauma. Our boy stares, a dark look on his face. He's seeing echoes of the future, the disaster he's trying to prevent, and it's hitting him hard. Desire is frantically trying to stabilize the can, yelling, "Focus, Romantica," but she's completely lost in her own head. She manages to reshape the can, flattening it into a disc. It's like she's instinctively molding metal, and Desire realizes it's working. "I did it," she shouts, ecstatic, but Desire's face falls. He remembers this moment, the dangerous potential he saw before. A guy walks up, smirking, and asks, "You do know the difference between a circle and a sphere, right?" Honestly, so condescending. Romantica crushes the flattened disc with her bare hands, turning it into scrap metal. It's terrifying, and Desire feels a chill. He's seeing flashes of the past, the destruction caused by uncontrolled power, and it's clear she's unlocking something dangerous. A small, fluffy bunny creature trembles, radiating fear as someone looms over it. Desire's face is grim. He knows what's coming. Someone asks, "Practical combat," and we see another student with striking blue hair tapping his foot impatiently. It's noon the next day, and they're at the outdoor sparring arena. The place looks massive, intimidating. Blue hair thinks he'll be sparring with someone his level, maybe Percival, but a voice cuts in. No, he's not good enough for you. Mr. Karog steps forward, and the blue-haired student straight up assumes he's about to get a dainty girl as a sparring partner. But Desir's face darkens. He remembers this exact moment, the disappointment, the underestimation, and it's clear this kid has no idea who he's dealing with. The blue-haired student's eyes widen as he sees who Desir actually sends forward, and honestly, the kid looks terrified. "Whoa, you're a boy," he shouts, and Desir's expression is unreadable, a mix of annoyance and something darker. Desir asks if he just judged him by his appearance, and you can feel the tension building. This dude is about to get a lesson. "I didn't realize your limbs looked so frail." The blue-haired student sputters, trying to backtrack, but it's too late. The smaller student starts trembling, overwhelmed, and Desir's eyes narrow. This is going to be good. "Excuse the misunderstanding," the blue-haired student yelps, but the damage is done. Our boy isn't letting it go. The small student is practically vibrating with fear, and Desir's gaze is intense. He's remembering everything that led to this moment. "Master Desir," the blue-haired student hollers, jolting back in surprise, and asks if he can start sparring now. Desir is about to make his day. Desir doesn't hesitate. He swings his sword, and the smaller student's eyes go wide with genuine fear. "Do your best, boy," someone shouts, but the blue-haired student is already yelling, "Stop teasing me." Desir's expression is cold as he assesses the kid, remembering all the times this exact condescension fueled his drive. The smaller student tries to recover, but Desir's glare is unwavering. He's recalling the humiliation this guy inflicted. Suddenly, the student lunges, sword raised, and Desir effortlessly deflects the attack with a flick of his wrist. Crack goes the sound of the clash, and Desir uses the momentum to send the student tumbling backwards. This dude doesn't even have time to process what happened before Desir's hand shoots out, grabbing his shoulder. Swoop, and Desir pulls the student forward, using his momentum against him. It's a textbook maneuver. Desir throws the student into the air, a swift leap sending him flying, and honestly, it's kinda brutal. Desir's footwork is incredible as he closes the distance, putting pressure on the stunned student. No mercy here. Desir is relentless, his attacks a blur of motion. The student can barely keep up, dodging and spinning just to survive. Quick, precise moves, someone observes, but Desir isn't impressed. He's already analyzing every flaw in this guy's technique. He lands a slash and a spin, showing off a level of skill that's frankly embarrassing for the student, and then delivers a cutting assessment. "Your style deserves to be called Swift Sword." The problem is Desir begins, a dangerous glint in his eyes. This isn't about skill, it's about something much deeper. "You're totally exposed," he declares, and then stab, a shockingly fast attack that catches the student completely off guard. "No way," our boy's eyes widen, remembering this exact moment from the future, the humiliation, the betrayal, the sheer helplessness. You can see the shock and pain in those blue eyes. He's reliving a memory he desperately tried to erase, and it's brutal. Desir turns away, dismissing the stunned student with a cold, "Too bad you lack the experience to make the most of them." "Shouldn't have put so much distance," he mutters, and honestly, this dude walked right into the trap. "Those are some impressive reflexes you got there," Desir says, but it's a lie. He's letting the student think he's surprised, lulling him into a false sense of security. "But that's all you've got," the green-haired instructor sneers, casually dismissing the student's attack with a snap of his fingers. The student unleashes an ICE blast, a wave of freezing air meant to overwhelm his opponent, but it's immediately swallowed by a counterattack. Efsom, a beam of pure energy erupts, slicing through the ice and sending the student reeling backward. This dude is getting demolished. Now surrounded by thick, swirling mist, the student can't see a thing, and our boy knows exactly why, because he's been here before. He remembers this fight, every single detail, the helplessness, the humiliation. You can practically feel the weight of the future crashing down on him. The instructor appears through the fog, towering over the fallen student, and honestly, Desir is just waiting for the exact same taunt to come out. Our boy Desire is deep in study, surrounded by glowing pages. He's reviewing everything for the upcoming Shadow World appearance. It's dining hall time and everyone's settling in, but Desire immediately notices something's off. The usual chatter is missing. He hears a voice saying left until Shadow World appearance and immediately knows something's wrong. He's been here before, in a very different timeline. The party is all there, Romantica, Pram, and Adrian. But something feels incredibly wrong and Desire's eyes lock onto Adrian. Pram and Romantica are talking, saying he must be tired, but Desire can barely process their words. He's stuck on the fact they are all alive. They mention the Shadow World and Desire realizes they have very little time to prepare, but honestly, he's already light years ahead. Miss Azist enters the dining hall and straight up, the entire room erupts. Seriously, the girls are losing their minds over her. She's carrying a plate of food and the sheer adoration is almost blinding. Desire, however, is frozen, remembering a very different fate for Azist. The crowd keeps shouting Miss Azist, and Desire's face is a mask of dread. You can feel the weight of his foreknowledge. He knows what's coming for her. He sees the way people look at her, the way they need her, and a chill runs down his spine. Our boy is about to change everything again. Desire's face is a disaster. He's realizing this isn't the Azist he remembers, and the whispers around them are deafening. He blurts out, "Why the heck are you sitting next to, but it comes off way weirder than he intends. Azist straight up snaps, demanding to know why everyone's staring. She's trying to play it cool, but Desire can see the panic rising. Adrian and the others look totally confused, while Desire's mind is racing, remembering the tragedy that awaits her. Suddenly, Azist's hand shoots out and grabs Adrian's arm. She's pulling him close, and he's clearly shocked. Adrian shouts Azist, caught completely off guard, and everyone in the room is frozen, staring at this unexpected move. This dude Adrian is flailing, trying to escape her grip, but she's holding on tight. It's a full-on struggle. Desire's eyes widen in horror. He knows this is the moment everything starts to go wrong, and you can feel his desperation. Azist looks directly at Desire, her expression unreadable, and then says, "May I see you in your room after the meal?" She starts walking towards his room, knocking on the door, and Desire is left speechless. This is not how it happened before, and it's terrifying. Desire's trying to play it cool, offering Azist tea, but she's already sizing him up. She's definitely planning something. She accepts the tea, then casually asks why he used such potentially suggestive terms earlier, and our boy is internally screaming. He attempts a flimsy excuse about being awkward, but she doesn't buy it for a second. This woman is relentless. Azist calmly places the teacup down, and Desire sees the way her hand trembles. She's hiding something, and it's big. But then she snatches a stack of papers off the table, crumpling them in her fist. It's a totally unhinged move. She tears the paper into tiny pieces, and Desire's memory floods back. This is the exact moment she started spiraling in the previous timeline. You can feel the dread radiating off of Desire as she starts dabbing the paper shreds onto the cup, attempting to fix it or destroy it. He can't believe she's going through with it. This dude is witnessing a tragedy unfold all over again, powerless to stop it. She declares done, and the cup is a mess of cracks and paper, but it's more than just a broken teacup. It's a symbol of everything falling apart. And honestly, this whole scene is just haunting. Desire knows what's coming, and you can see the pain etched on his face. Azist straight up asks Desire if he'll let her join his party, and our boy is thrown. This is not how things went last time. He tries to agree, but Azist cuts him off, rising to her full height and towering over him. She's playing a dangerous game. She's moving fast, almost falling onto him, and he's totally caught off guard. You can see the panic in his eyes. She's decked out in a school uniform, skirt, and stockings, and Desire's brain short circuits. He remembers this outfit from the past. She plants her feet, creating a crack in the floor, and declares halt. This isn't just a display of power, it's a threat. She throws a fist, and Desire's reaction is priceless. He's bracing for impact, remembering all the times this ended badly. The impact sends the teacup flying, shattering against the table. It's a small thing, but it feels like everything's breaking. He's pinned, and honestly, the way she looks at him, it's not a friendly gaze. Desire is reeling. She's repeating the same actions, the same expressions, and he's trapped in a nightmare he can't escape. She repeats her question, will you let me join your party? And Desire realizes she's not asking, she's demanding, and he's running out of time. Desire's deep in training, surrounded by swirling blue energy and pages ripped from manga. He's reviewing past battles, straight up studying his opponents. Romantica's program is on day 7, and this dude's getting pushed to his limits, but he's holding steady, focused on the task at hand. A student, Adrian, casually grabs a drink, but Desire's eyes lock onto him, a flash of memory hitting him like a truck. Our boy remembers Adrian's fate from the previous timeline, betrayed, left for dead. It's a grim reminder of what he's fighting to change. Another student, Pram, is messing with some sort of icy construct, creating crystalline shards. She's clearly powerful, but Desire's gaze remains fixed on Adrian. Pram loses control and the ice cracks and splinters, sending shards flying. It's chaotic, but Desire isn't even looking. Pram's frustrated, yelling "Whoa!" as she tries to regain control, but she's clearly struggling with the power. She manages to stabilize a glowing sphere of ice, a perfect, slick orb, but Desire finally turns his attention to her, and you can tell he's assessing her abilities. Pram beams, declaring "now then," ready to showcase her skill, but Desire's expression is unreadable, like he already knows what's coming. He's piecing together the puzzle, realizing how each of these students will factor into the coming apocalypse, and how he needs to protect them all. Desire realizes the circle of energy Pram created is dangerously close to Adrian's heart. It's a setup from the future, no way. He shouts at Adrian to move, but it's too late. Pram's energy blasts forward, sending Adrian flying. Everyone's shocked, gasping at the speed of the attack, but Desire's face is pure fury. He remembers this exact moment. "How could you?" Pram's yelling, seemingly distraught, but our boy knows she's a puppet in the coming disaster. Pram's freaking out, trembling and practically vibrating with rage, but Desire's already piecing things together. It's all connected. He sees the precise angle of the attack, the way the energy formed a third circle. It's a specific technique from the future, designed to kill Adrian. Desire yells, "Yeah, you're back." He knows exactly where the energy will hit, a detail no one else could possibly know. Adrian is totally caught off guard, jolting as the attack connects, but Desire's already moving, a blur of motion. He's shielding Adrian, taking the brunt of the blast, and honestly, this dude had it coming, protecting his friends. Pram just stands there whistling as Desire protects Adrian. You can feel the tension, the weight of the future resting on his shoulders. Desire instinctively reaches for the curtain, trying to stop it from falling. He's seen this happen before, and it's not good. He adjusts the curtain, trying to buy time, but Adrian's completely oblivious, focused on the lesson below. Pram suddenly apologizes, a sickly sweet "okay, I'm sorry," that sets Desire on edge. She's acting, and he knows it. Pram starts rustling around, and Desire's already bracing for impact. This is the setup, the moment everything changes. Desire whirls around, shocked to see Pram actually trying to trip him. It's a clumsy move, but perfectly calculated. He demands to know what's going on, but Pram just stares back, her expression unreadable. She's playing dumb, but our boy isn't buying it. Pram falls to her knees, seemingly defeated, but Desire is hyper-aware. He's locked onto the slightest tremor in her hands. He feels a flinch, a subtle reaction in her body, and knows she's about to unleash another attack. This is a pattern from the future, a tell. Our boy hears the whispers, the snickers. They think he's paranoid, but he knows what's coming, the danger lurking beneath the surface. Pram's face is a mask of tears, but Desire sees the glint of malice in her eyes. You can feel the betrayal, the weight of what's about to happen. Desire's trying to contain Pram's surging mana. It's way more than he expected, and he's starting to sweat. He's forcing the energy inward, attempting to refine it, but it's like trying to hold back a tsunami with bare hands. Pram's struggling, wincing in pain as Desire channels her power. This isn't a training exercise anymore. It's straight up painful for her. It hurts, she cries out, flinching under the pressure. You can see the strain on her face, the real effort it's taking. Our boy hears her cries, but he's focused, muttering instructions. Carefully refine the mana, then spin it. He's seen this before, knows exactly what to do. He's visualizing the source mana, the core of her power. Too little, and the magic will be weak, but too much, and it'll shatter. Desire's hand hovers, attempting to guide the flow, but he's caught off guard. Her mana is unstable, volatile, and resisting his control. Whoa, her mana is much more abundant than I assumed. Desire realizes the danger, one wrong move, and everything could fall apart. He pushes forward, trying to rein in the chaotic energy. He's got to keep it from scattering, from spiraling out of control. And honestly, you can feel the pressure building, the raw power threatening to overwhelm him. This is a level of energy he hasn't faced before. Desire's getting crushed straight up, mana's ripping through him, and he's screaming he can't take it anymore. He's begging for help, but it's like his voice is lost in the storm of energy. It's a desperate, raw plea. But then a voice cuts through the chaos. It's okay, Romantica, you can do it. It's someone familiar. A hand reaches out, glowing with golden light. It's extending toward Romantica, a beacon in the swirling darkness. Desire's reaching too, his own hand outstretched, urging her on. Just trust me. He's seen this moment before, and the weight of the future is crushing him. Their fingers brush and a blinding light erupts. A surge of energy courses through them both, but it feels different. This isn't just power flowing, it's a connection, a resonance between their wills, a desperate attempt to stabilize the overload. Romantica gasps, her eyes widening in shock as the energy calms, the pain visibly receding from her face. She looks relieved. The combined energy coalesces into a brilliant sphere, pulsing with light. It's a volatile, unstable power, but it's contained for now. The energy explodes outward, shattering a nearby ceiling and sending debris flying. The room is a mess, but they did it. They actually did it. Our boy Desire is deep in study, surrounded by glowing pages. He's reviewing everything, prepping for whatever's coming. Ram's training is brutal. She's being pushed to her absolute limit, facing a relentless assault from a mysterious attacker. The attacker moves with incredible speed, a blur of white, and delivers a swift strike. It's a full-on offensive. But Desire recognizes this guy. He remembers this exact training session from the previous timeline, and it didn't end well. Pram's getting sliced up, and it's clear she's not at her best. She's struggling to even hold her sword and admits she's too weak. The attacker is predicting her moves, setting up a side attack, and honestly, it's kinda scary how easily he's reading her. Desire's face is a mask of intensity. He's seeing the same helplessness he saw before, and he won't let it happen again. Pram is hit and the blade nearly touches her skin. She feels the throb, the numbness. It's a brutal reminder of her shortcomings. The attacker taunts her, "I'll be too weak to even hold my sword." Our boy hears every single word. The cruelty is sickening. And that's not good in battle when one lost second could kill you. Desire knows what's about to happen, and he's ready to change things. Desire launches forward, a blur of motion, trying to intercept the attack on Pram. He's moving fast. The attacker is already anticipating him, swinging his sword in a wide arc, and Desire barely manages to dodge. Swords clash, sending sparks flying. The force of the impact sends Desire reeling back, but he holds his ground. The attacker's blade is relentless, a whirlwind of steel, and Desire's sword dances to deflect each blow, barely keeping up. Pram watches, stunned. She can't believe how quickly Desire is moving, how effortlessly he's blocking the attacks. "I can hardly see you swinging that sword." The attacker sneers, pushing his offense even harder, and Desire grits his teeth. Desire remembers this fight. He knows every swing, every feint, and a cold realization washes over him. This guy isn't holding back at all. The swords collide again, but this time Desire feels a sharp pain in his arm. A small cut, but it's enough to make him stumble. However, Desire uses the stumble to his advantage, twisting his body and unleashing a counterattack, a furious barrage of slashes. The attacker is caught off guard, his defense crumbling, and for the first time he shows a flicker of surprise and maybe, just maybe, a little fear. Suddenly, the ground vanishes under the attacker's feet. A massive hole opens up and he plummets straight down. Desire darts forward, leaping to intercept the falling attacker, sword extended. He's gotta save him, even after everything. The attacker, however, swings his sword wildly even while falling. A desperate, reckless attack, and Desire barely blocks. Desire spins, using the momentum to launch himself forward, attempting to land safely. But it's a risky move, and he's off balance. He manages to stick the landing, but the attacker recovers quickly, launching another assault. This dude is relentless. Desire deflects the blow, but the force sends a shock up his arm. This guy is stronger than he remembers, and our boy feels it. The attacker smirks, clearly enjoying this, so you pretended to be caught and fooled me into letting my guard down, eh? The arrogance. Desire replies with a simple hee, but inside, he's remembering the future, knowing exactly how dangerous this guy is. He drops a strange device, a glowing golden orb, and it crashes to the ground, sending sparks flying, and Desire's eyes widen. Desire shouts, "You won," and the attacker looks genuinely shocked, while Desire quietly thinks, "Yes, I beat Mr. Karog. No way." Mr. Karog shows up out of nowhere, and everyone's bowing like crazy. Bro is a legend, apparently. Desire and the blue-haired kid are thanking him for guidance, but Desire's remembering something bad. The blue-haired kid asks a question, and Desire jolts. He's clearly remembering that awful future timeline. Desire thanks Mr. Karog too, but it's kind of forced, and Karog looks relieved. That's weird. Karog says Desire's bow actually hurt because he's so tiny. Ouch, rude. The other kid looks ticked off though. The blue-haired kid asks if Mr. Karog is really a boy, and Desire shouts the question, "What is happening?" Our boy is straight up shocked. It's like all the pieces are clicking into place, and he's finally understanding. You can feel Desire's disbelief. He's seeing something he never expected, and it changes everything. Karog just stands there completely unfazed while Desire processes this insane reveal. This dude is a mystery. Desire remembers everything, the future, the apocalypse, everything, and it all makes sense now. No way. Okay, so Hebrion Academy announces combat training and starts handing out battle outfits to all the first years. This dude, Adrian, is yawning and straight up following Desire, and Desire is not happy about it, asking why he's tagging along. Adrian just shouts, "'Cause I'm bored," but then admits he's following to collect outfits for the party members. Smooth. Pram asks if Adrian has ever worn a battle outfit before, and he just starts walking forward with a weird, determined step. He's heading towards a massive blue storage container, and it's rattling and shaking as he gets closer. What is going on? The container clunks open, and Desire finally understands, but you can feel the shock ripple through him. No way. Our boy Desire is absolutely radiating power, clutching this weird book that's covered in images of himself and his friends. No way. He's demonstrating a fireball spell for some academy instructors and students, but honestly, the look on his face is pure "I know something you don't" energy. One of the instructors is saying they may look similar to the other outfits, but Desire just freezes, recognizing these uniforms from the future. He's seen this before. Another instructor tries to dismiss it, saying, "But actually these differ," but Desire is already spiraling, remembering the grim reality these outfits represent. Suddenly, a student asks what the spell is, and Desire snaps back to the present, smoothly explaining it's a fireball spell, but you can tell his mind is miles away. Straight-up chaos erupts when Desire's spell goes off, and these two students are trying to block it with their bare hands, and honestly, this dude had it coming. But then something insane happens. The flames just vanish when they touch the students. They're completely unharmed, and Desire is losing it. One of the students proudly declares, "Yes, I have it right here," while raising a small shield, and Desire's face is a masterpiece of confusion and dawning realization. A different instructor tries to explain how to sheath the sword, but Desire is clearly distracted, connecting the dots about this shield and what it means for the future timeline. And then Desire's hands start glowing with blue energy, and you can just feel the power building. Whatever's about to happen, it's gonna be big. Desire asks his friend to try pulling out his sword, but it's gone, straight up vanished into thin air. The student panics, yelling about his missing sword, and Desire's face drops. He remembers this exact moment from the future. Desire realizes the sword isn't just missing, it's been sent to a tiny dimension built into the soul crystal, a place he knows all too well. With a flash of blue light and a F-Somum sound effect, the sword reappears in Desire's hand, looking brand new. Now it's Romantica's turn, and Desire tells her to try and summon her weapon, but she's confused. Romantica asks what he wants her to take out, and Desire can't believe she doesn't remember. She's a magician, for crying out loud. She insists he just try it, claiming she put something in for him, and raises her hand, preparing to summon something. Another F-Somum, and suddenly Romantica is holding a massive golden rifle, and Desire is completely speechless. He blurts out rifle, and Romantica raises the weapon higher, looking slightly embarrassed but proud. Our boy Desire hears every single word, sees every confused glance. This isn't the future he remembers, and he's scrambling to figure out why. Desire's face is a total mask of shock. Romantica just pulled a rifle out of nowhere, and he's trying to process what he's seeing. The professor starts talking about how someone cleared the shadow world simply by listening to a basic explanation, and honestly, it's a little unsettling. The professor calls this mysterious person a true genius, and Desire's mind is racing. Something is seriously off with this timeline. Someone is moving through the halls, and Desire's eyes lock onto their back. It's a figure he distinctly remembers from the original, doomed future. Now then, this dude starts clasping something on his uniform, and Desire realizes it's a critical component of the shield he's been investigating. The scene cuts to Hebrion Academy's assembly hall, and the date flashes across the screen. July 20th, D-Day, the day everything went wrong in the previous timeline. A speaker begins addressing the students and guests, but Desire is fixated on the energy crackling around a blonde-haired student standing nearby. The blonde student's eyes flash red, and Desire's blood runs cold. He recognizes that power, that look. It's the same energy that destroyed everything. Our boy hears every single word, sees every confused glance. This isn't the future he remembers, and he's scrambling to figure out why. It seems as if the end of human civilization is nigh, and Desire can't shake the feeling that he's walked straight into a nightmare he thought he'd escaped. The professor announces they succeeded, and Desire's face is unreadable. Something is way off. He clarifies it wasn't a success for the mission or the academy, and Desire's eyes narrow. He's piecing things together. The other students look confused, but Desire is frozen. He remembers this moment, the beginning of the end. The professor orders them to survive no matter the cost and promises a welcome home, but Desire's brain is screaming. Desire's face contorts in a grimace, a furrow forms, and he's reliving a horrific memory of the apocalypse. Suddenly, someone shouts wrong and orders everyone to run, and Desire realizes this isn't a rescue mission, it's a warning. The professor raises his fist, demanding they win, and promises a triumphant return. It's a complete reversal of the original timeline. A student is reading the mission briefing, and Desire leans in, a wave of dread washing over him as he sees the details. The briefing states they need at least 4 members to enter, and Desire's eyes widen. That's the exact number of people who failed before. The student realizes the requirement, and Desire hears the word "oh, that," and you can feel the weight of the past crashing down on him. Desire's mind is racing. He remembers this briefing, the mission, the failure, and it all feels wrong. Someone blurts out "wrong" and orders everyone to evacuate, and Desire instantly knows this isn't a rescue, it's a warning. The professor demands they win, promising a glorious return, but Desire's stuck in the past, reliving the apocalypse, and it's chilling. Our boy Desire is straight up channeling some serious power, a book glowing in his hands and swirling energy all around him. Everyone's looking at him like he's lost it, asking what's going on, but they are about to get a whole lot more than they bargained for. Pram gets snatched up by someone, no way, and the others are shocked, yelling for her to come back. Someone's whispering about how Pram clearly doesn't mind being taken, and honestly, that's messed up. They're saying they need 4 members to enter the shadow world, and Azist is the missing piece, but Pram's already gone with him. Someone shouts they won't accept this, and you can feel the tension rising. It's about to explode. Desire glances over, and his expression, it's like he's seen this all before, a ghost of a memory from the future. Our boy turns away, thinking he should have told her something. The weight of the future is crushing him right now. He's remembering a past betrayal, and honestly, it's heartbreaking. You can feel his regret in every line of his face. He's thinking about what could have been, and it's clear he's determined to change things this time around. Desire's thinking about the emblem of Toa, an artifact from the shadow world that boosts mana, and it's clear this thing is important. He remembers getting it, but now he's realizing he needs to make sure Romantica gets it too, even if it means going against what happened before. Adrian just sighs, looking all gloomy, and Romantica seems upset, but Desire straight up accepts they need her. Desire's got a plan, and he's not backing down, even if it means facing Azist King's Crown and Pram Schneider together. They're all standing there facing Azist, and you can feel the tension building. This dude is seriously intimidating. Azist asks if they're Desir's party, and our boy just gives a firm yes, not even flinching. Pram steps forward and Desir's eyes lock onto her. He's remembering everything, the betrayal, the pain, and honestly, it's brutal. He calls out Pram and Azist's names, and you can see the shock on their faces, but also something else. Desir's expression is cold, determined. He's done letting the future happen without a fight, and this dude looks ready. He's got that fire in his eyes, and honestly, it's a little scary, a little awesome, and a lot of we're about to see some action. No way, Desir gets pulled into the shadow world, straight up yanked from reality while everyone else is just standing there. He lands in what looks like a giant warehouse filled with crates and a floating hand. This is getting weird. Suddenly, a quest notification pops up, dinner service. Seriously, he's in a dangerous otherworld and they want him to cook. He turns around and BAM, Jeffrin Eastwood, the experienced chef, is right there. Our boy's got a new assignment, apparently. Desir's thinking about the emblem of Toa and how he needs to get it for Romantica, but now he's also gotta make dinner. Talk about multitasking. Adrian's just there, looking confused and upset. Honestly, that dude always looks confused and upset. Pram and Azist are arguing and Desir's eyes lock onto Pram. He remembers everything, her betrayal, the pain, the whole deal. Desir raises his hand, ready to confront them. You can feel the tension building. He's finally done playing nice. He slams his hand down on a crate. It splinters instantly. This dude is not messing around. Everyone jolts at the sudden impact, and then a distinguished guest is coming. This is about to get even more chaotic. Jeffrin lays down the challenge, create a dish using plums, but Desir quickly realizes this isn't just cooking, it's a test. Desir's mind flashes back. He remembers the future, the utter devastation, and now a plum dish. It's a jarring disconnect. The chef barks orders at a trembling cook, stir, stir, and our boy sees how intense this kitchen actually is. This place is a pressure cooker. Desir clenches his fist, frustration building. He has zero plum knowledge and failure means penalties. The stakes are surprisingly high. He scans the room, taking in the chaos, the frantic energy. This place sure is a war zone, he thinks, and honestly, he's not wrong. Suddenly, a senior chef yells you there, and Desir is caught in the crossfire. You can feel the heat. The chef is not happy. Desir beams, trying to appear confident, but his eyes betray the panic. He's got a quest to complete and a reputation to salvage. Jeffrin gives Desir a knowing smile. He sees something in our boy, a hidden potential. However, this doesn't make the task any easier. Desir's head is spinning, recalling everything that's at stake. The emblem, Romantica, the apocalypse, and now, plums. It's a lot to process. He looks at the plums again, and for a split second, all the fear and pressure melts away. He's not just cooking, he's fighting for the future. Our boy Desir is straight up surrounded by these glowing blue energy strands, holding an open book. It's like he's pulling memories or futures out of thin air. This dude walks in all confident and asks in that case. Clearly, he's got a plan brewing. He proposes using plums of all things. Seriously, plums? It's a weird suggestion, but he seems sure of himself. An old man looks skeptical and asks if this guy even knows how to use plums, and our boy confidently replies he can make plum tea. The old man starts to consider it, and a little ding sound effect goes off. Apparently, this dude can influence people's decisions. No way. The old man gives him a long look, and our boy realizes something. He remembers this exact conversation from the future timeline. Desir's face drops. He knows how this plays out, and it's not good. You can feel the weight of the future pressing down on him. He asks what other ingredients are needed for the tea, and this dude, full of energy, lists them off with a flourish. Plums are added to a bowl and then dropped into a pot of boiling water. Plum tea is apparently the key to something big. Honestly, that plum tea looks suspiciously glowing. Something tells me this isn't your grandma's recipe. The chef asks if the tea was Desir's own creation, and our boy's face just shifts, like he's remembering something awful. Desir calls the chef and gets a DUN sound effect thrown at him. Apparently, this guy's a big deal. He confirms he can make the tea as long as he has the ingredients, and the chef seems satisfied, but Desir is still clearly stuck in his head. The chef admits Desire was right about something and then leans in close, arms crossed, with this intense stare. It turns out the chef knows the Lord was obsessed with the tea, wanted it every single day. Desire's reaction is priceless. Ding, Desire unlocked a quest and a new position, attendant, which will give him clues for the next challenge. This is getting wild. But the chef isn't done. He grabs Desire and honestly, it looks painful. Look here, boy. The chef starts yelling at him, raise me to death, and Desire is completely caught off guard. What even is that threat? After the shouting, Desire manages a weak thank you, chef. You can tell he's reeling, but trying to play it cool. The chef pats him on the head and gives him good luck. It's a weirdly gentle moment after all that, and Desire seems to need it. The carriage rattles down the road, and our boy looks increasingly worried next to the mysterious old man. Suddenly, the carriage hits a bump and Desire tenses up. That jolt brings back a flood of terrible memories. He sees a flash of a brutal attack and that masked figure. It's a face he swore he'd never see again. Desire instinctively flinches and the old man notices, questioning what's got him so spooked. The old man reveals they're entering the territory of the vagabonds. Apparently, there's been a huge influx lately. He explains the lord of the area used to be kind to them, and now, well, a lot more vagabonds are showing up. Our boy hears all this, but his mind is clearly elsewhere. Replaying that horrific vision of the masked man, you can see the fear in his eyes. The old man pulls Desire closer, commenting on his kind nature, but it feels less like a compliment and more like an assessment. Why so many? The old man asks, and Desire explains it all started when the Lord became known for his generosity. Desire is distracted, though his gaze is fixed on something in the distance, muttering Hebrion Academy as if it's a curse. Desire stretches in the carriage, complaining about the long ride, but honestly, he's straight up masking how stressed he is. The carriage driver refuses to let him ride for free. If you don't have any money, then buy. Harsh, but fair enough. This little girl, Lyrica, is demolishing a snack and Desire is kinda shocked. She's eating like she hasn't had a meal in days. Whoa, slow down. Desire tries to intervene, but Lyrica insists it's so good, so good. Desire asks Lyrica her name and if she lives around here. She tells him she lives with her mom and brother and they get food from the town square. What's your name? He asks again, and Lyrica, still chewing, finally tells him, I'm Lyrica. Desire introduces himself as Desire and then, get this, he says he'll give Lyrica a present. What is he planning? Lyrica gulps, staring at the embroidery on her clothes, and Desire explains someone said it could fetch a good price at the market. And they're sure will steal all of their wares. Lyrica shares the awful things people say to her and her family. No way, that's rough. But she adds, but we never stole a thing, still they kept calling us thieves. You can feel her pain, and the screen flashes you met a vagabond. Lyrica bursts into tears, wailing why, and Desire just kinda freezes up. He hears her say her mom told her to accept how things are, to just live with it, and Desire's face just falls. It hits him hard. Desire points to the setting sun, explaining that when it reaches a certain point, they need to sneak through the back of the castle. He sweetens the deal, more food if they succeed, and Lyrica's eyes light up. She's instantly on board, shouting, I'll be there. But Desire's excitement is cut short. His older brother Cadmus appears, absolutely furious that he's wandering off. I told you to wait where I left you, Cadmus yells, and Desire tries to explain, but honestly he's in trouble now. Lyrica, despite everything, waves goodbye with a huge smile. She's surprisingly cheerful for someone facing so much hardship. Cadmus walks away, muttering about Evernatten having two major problems, and Desire is completely fixated on what that could mean. Our boy is reeling. He remembers Evernatten being a huge issue in the original timeline, and now there's another problem he doesn't know about. The wind howls and the mountains loom, and Desire is left wondering what this new threat could be. It's a seriously bad feeling. Heavy footsteps echo as these armored figures march forward, straight up. It's like an army is descending. Desire sees them and his face just shifts. He remembers this exact patrol from the original timeline, and it wasn't good. And then this dude, the leader, throws back his head and lets out a massive, terrifying grin. You can feel the malice radiating off him. Our boy Desire is straight up infiltrating the Evernatten mansion, the home of a unique hero. He's got to raise this guy's affinity for him. He's moving like a ghost step by careful step, and it's seriously intense. This dude is a pro at stealth. He spots someone inside, a figure hunched over what looks like a map. Desir's mind instantly flashes back. He remembers this scene from the future. A window creaks open and Desire catches a glimpse of the figure. It's Wilhelm Evernatten himself. But something's off about this memory. A servant brings tea to Wilhelm and the atmosphere is awkward. Desire's getting some serious tension vibes here. Wilhelm finally looks up and Desire tries to play it cool. He's smiling, but you can tell Desire is analyzing everything this guy does. Wilhelm takes a sip of his tea and then just stops. He's completely silent. Our boy can feel every single judging glance. Desire is reeling. This isn't how he remembers the scene at all. Something fundamental has changed and it's messing with his head. Wilhelm finally breaks the silence and Desire's internal alarm bells are ringing. He's bracing for something. This is bad, right? The silence is suffocating and honestly, it's brutal. Our boy's stuck in this uncomfortable standoff trying to figure out what's different. Wilhelm orders a servant to scrub the floor and Desire realizes he's being tested. It's a humiliation ritual he remembers all too well. The servant starts scrubbing and Desire grits his teeth. He remembers how awful this felt back then, but something's definitely different this time around. Desire tries to stay calm, but Wilhelm's icy stare is getting to him. This dude is playing mind games and our boy is starting to sweat. Wilhelm suddenly turns away, dismissing Desire with a cold no. Seriously, that's it. Desire's brain is scrambling to figure out what just happened. The servant continues to scrub and Desire's mind races. He's replaying every detail, trying to find the discrepancy, what changed in this timeline. Desire hears a voice behind him. It's Romantica. He's about to speak, but Wilhelm cuts him off, and honestly, it's a power move. 4 days have passed and Desire is frustrated. He's made zero progress in understanding Wilhelm. He's starting to feel trapped, like he's hitting a wall. Suddenly, someone calls out "Guess who?" and throws a wet towel at Desire. No way, this isn't some playful prank, it's a deliberate attack. Desire gets covered in water and his reaction is priceless. He's absolutely stunned and you can feel his frustration boiling over. The attacker shouts "You sound like," and Desire realizes it's Adrian. Our boy is genuinely shocked. This is a side of Adrian he never saw before. Adrian straight up tackles Desire and our boy is totally caught off guard. It's a full-on surprise attack. Desire's reeling and Adrian yells about that. He's referencing something, but what? This is getting intense. Adrian leaps into the air, attempting some kind of fancy move, and Desire just stares, completely bewildered. But Wilhelm intervenes, casually raising a hand and scolding Adrian for his uncute armor. Seriously. Adrian looks devastated and Desire realizes this whole thing is about armor aesthetics. You can't make this stuff up. Adrian declares he's looked all over for Master Desire and Wilhelm suggests they chat outside. Something feels off about this. They are outside and Wilhelm's words hit Desire like a ton of bricks. He remembers this moment from the original timeline, a moment of utter failure. Desire feels the weight of the past crashing down on him. He knows if they just give up now, things will only worsen and the quest will be impossible. But then Adrian speaks up saying, "But I thought it," and Desire's eyes widen. Adrian actually remembers the previous timeline too. Adrian reaches out and squeezes Desire's hand and our boy is visibly shaken. He's processing this, another person who remembers. You can see the hope rising in his eyes. So Wilhelm asks how the quest is going and Adrian stretches, looking surprisingly cheerful, but Desire is clearly stressed. The scouts report that the Estebans are even approaching the city and the Knight's Order has given up. Desire's jaw drops. He remembers this exact moment. But then Adrian blurts out, "They've been going on for 5 years, so they probably did give up," and Desire's face contorts in disbelief. Desire feels a jolt as a tiny, ghostly figure appears and someone, Wilhelm maybe, lets out a surprised PFFT. Seriously, what is happening? Desire asks what he thinks a bunch of abandoned Estebans would be like, and you can see the gears turning in his head, desperately trying to change fate. However, someone points out they won't give up the food they can plunder, especially with winter coming. They might be hiding, waiting for the knights to make a decision. Suddenly, a massive figure looms over Adrian and the voice booms, "Oh, him, yes, I do remember. Desire is definitely not the only one with memories of the past." Desire's world is spinning and our boy realizes this is a disaster. He remembers this encounter and it did not end well. You can feel the dread building. And honestly, Desire's face says it all. He's piecing it together, realizing how deep this goes, and it's a gut punch. But then Adrian reaches for his hand, squeezing it tight, and Desire feels a flicker of hope. Another person remembers this could change everything. Desire stares at the shadowy figures, a blank face and a dark silhouette, and someone calls them the adversary. No way. Adrian suddenly blurts out that the Esteban army might just be after supplies, and Desire is straight up floored. He remembers this happening, and it's bad. Pram jolts forward, yelling at Desire to hurry, and dashes off. She's already taking charge, and our boy is scrambling to keep up. Desire's friend calls out, but Desire's already realizing something huge. Using his perception, he's figured out the Estebans are attacking in 3 days. A grizzled warrior announces the castle lowered its guard, and the other soldiers nod grimly. They are ready to move. This is it. The warriors gather and one declares, "Now is the time," their faces set with determination. It's a setup and Desire knows it. Suddenly, a figure with fiery markings appears and a screen flashes. The Estebans will attack the castle in 3 days. Desire's eyes glow. He remembers this. Desire's face is a mask of dread, and you can feel the weight of his past knowledge. This dude has seen this before, and it wasn't good. But then Adrian reaches for his hand, squeezing tight, and Desire feels a flicker of hope. Another person remembers maybe this time they can actually win. Our boy Desire is deep in study, surrounded by glowing pages ripped straight from the future timeline. He's prepping for the Esteban attack. He's making a map of the fortress, trying to figure out the best way to defend it, but he's wondering if it'll even be enough. Adrian and a little blue-haired kid, apparently a guard, are discussing if the Estebans will actually show up tomorrow, and bro, they're popping open some kind of potion. Adrian points out the less guarded east and west sides of the fortress, figuring those are the most likely entry points. Smart thinking. The kid is straight up panicking about how many potential weaknesses there are. You can feel his anxiety through the screen. Adrian asks if anyone requested extra patrols, but apparently his colleagues wouldn't listen. And honestly, this dude had it coming. They realize it's getting late and decide they should head back, but Desire, he's frozen, staring at something. This dude's expression is intense. He's seeing something in those ripped pages that only he remembers from the last timeline. Desire's eyes are locked on something off-screen, and it's clear whatever he's remembering is hitting hard. You can feel the weight of the future pressing down on him. The little blue-haired guard bolts off, yelling good luck on your guard duty, while Desire is still reeling. No way he's prepared for what's coming. Lyrica, this tiny blonde girl, is exhausted after whatever she's been through, and she's telling Desire she's been feeling way better lately. Adrian shows up looking for Lyrica, and he's relieved she's okay, but still worried she's pushing herself too hard. Someone grabs Lyrica, crumpling her clothes. Desire's instincts are kicking in hard. Lyrica insists she's fine, saying she's small and quick, and Desire's trying to play it cool, but he's clearly on edge. Desire's putting a warmer coat on Lyrica. He's definitely remembering something awful from the previous timeline. You can see it in his eyes. She promises to be careful, but she's shivering, and our boy hears that promise like a death knell. Desire's jaw is clenched, and he's thinking, I can't let Lyrica fall into danger. It's a full-on flashback moment. Adrian is questioning what just happened, but Desire brushes it off. He's trying to hide how freaked out he is. Desire's face is so tense, and he's desperately trying to convince himself everything is okay, even though he knows it's not. You can feel the dread building. Desire is remembering exactly how Lyrica was targeted last time, and he's failing to hide his fear. Desire is thinking the Estebans won't attack tonight, but he's planning to move tomorrow anyway, a calculated risk. He's looking at a glowing orb, a magical barrier or something, and it's clear he's remembering a past failure. Adrian shows up, pointing out the heavy snowfall, and Lyrica's bundled up tight, but Desire's not noticing the weather. The snow is getting worse, restricting their vision, and Desire's getting seriously tense. Something's wrong. He's muttering to himself, ah, and what's worse, and his expression is a full-on alarm bell. Desire's face is a mess, pure panic, and you can see he's remembering exactly what happened last time at this spot. Lyrica, oblivious, is trying to be cheerful, holding up a snowflake, but our boy is not okay with this. She asks what's strange, and Desire's jaw tightens. He's desperately trying to convince himself everything is fine. Then it hits him, there are no guards, absolutely no guards, and he's reeling from the realization. He's staring into the distance, and the shock is written all over his face. This dude knows what the lack of guards means. Desire spots the body's guards straight up massacred, and his blood runs cold. He recognizes this scene. Adrian's shouting, asking if everyone's okay, but Desire is completely zoned out, replaying the past in his head. He's convinced they are already inside the castle walls, and he's desperately trying to get Pram to move now. But it's too late. A shadowy figure drops from the roof, aiming a weapon directly at Pram, and Desire yells a warning. Desire throws himself in front of Pram, taking the hit, and Adrian bursts forward. Everything's happening so fast. Desire's hit with a burst of force, sending him flying, but he manages to shield Pram from the worst of it. He's down, clutching his side, and you can feel the panic rising. He failed to protect them, just like before. Desire's eyes snap open, fixated on the attacker, and his gaze is ice cold. This dude is not messing around. Another arrow flies, lodging itself in Desire's shoulder, and he grits his teeth through the pain. No way he's going down. He stares down the attacker with pure fury, and honestly, this dude is about to unleash a world of hurt. Desire's airborne, propelled by that attack, and honestly, the force is insane. He's plummeting toward what looks like a massive structure, and the wind is whipping around him. Wait, he's not falling onto the structure. He's being pulled toward it by some kind of force. It's a giant, armored figure, the chief of the Hawk tribe, and he's literally catching Desire midair like it's nothing. The chief's eyes are glowing red, and there's a terrifying growl rumbling from his throat. This is bad news. Desire's staring up at the chief, and you can see the recognition dawning on his face. He remembers this moment. Our boy hears the chief's words. He is the chief of the Hawk tribe, and it's a line he's heard before, a line from the future. The chief is holding him tight, almost possessively, and Desire's mind is racing. This isn't a rescue, it's a capture. Suddenly, the structure lurches violently, thrown off balance, and a loud clunk echoes through the air. Adrian and Pram are up on the platform, yelling, asking what happened, and Desire knows exactly what's going on. They've triggered something. The wind is howling, and Desire is getting a full view of the fortress. It's the fortress of the Hawk tribe, and he remembers it being destroyed. Suddenly, someone yells in Esteban, "How did he get here?" And Desire realizes this isn't just a random encounter, it's targeted. He studies the intricate patterns on the chief's armor, and a flood of memories hits him. This dude's a key player in the future war. Our boy sees the red glow in the chief's eyes intensify, and honestly, that look sends a chill down his spine. He knows what's coming. Desire's got this ancient book open, and blue energy is swirling around him like crazy. He's absorbing information fast. Outside the fortress, a group of warriors stands in the rain, looking tense and ready for a fight, but something feels off. One of the warriors, a big guy with a tiger-like mask, stares intensely, his gaze locking onto something unseen. The others question their leader, asking what the next move is, but the air is thick with dread. Suddenly, a figure's eye glares from the shadows, and someone shouts, "Dart." Clearly, a surprise attack is underway. A man named Esteban yells that there's at least 100 of them approaching, and honestly, he looks terrified. Another soldier reports that the enemy forces have already infiltrated, and our boy Desire, he's seeing this all happen again. Desire remembers this moment from the previous timeline, the siege, the chaos, the loss, and it hits him like a freight train. He's trying to stay calm, but his face is a mask of worry, realizing just how quickly things are escalating. He's thinking about what to do if he stands up right now, but his eyes are fixed on a looming shape, a dark, terrifying presence. The tiger-masked leader orders 10 warriors to kill the soldiers guarding the walls, and they nod without hesitation. But then a figure drops from the shadows, shouting, "Found you." It's a sudden ambush, no way. Esteban yells there are over 100 enemies coming, and Desire instantly recognizes this moment from the last timeline. Desire remembers the siege, the chaos, the losses, and a wave of dread washes over him. It's hitting him hard. He tries to figure out what to do, but his gaze locks onto a terrifying shape emerging from the darkness. Soldiers report they've already killed everyone, but they are worried the bodies will just come back to life. Creepy. A soldier scoffs, saying, "We killed them all, but he's afraid they'll come back to life." And honestly, this dude had it coming. The warriors begin stomping towards something unseen, their footsteps shaking the ground. It's a full-on advance. One of the soldiers protests, and "No, we wouldn't," but it's drowned out by the others. Another soldier sneers, "Ha, you watch what? They're all dead anyway," and then shoves a man off a ledge, straight up brutal. Desire connects with a punch, and the massive warrior stumbles back, shocked, but he's still standing. The warrior coughs up blood, glaring down at our boy, and manages to rasp out, "You." A soldier shouts they've taken one down and quickly calculates they've still got about 9 enemies to go. Someone yells about ringing the castle alarm, but Desire cuts them off. It's too far, he knows from experience it won't help. He's staring at the remaining soldiers, and a smirk creeps across his face. He's calculating, planning his next move. "You were right, Master Desire," one of the soldiers says, and then they stumble as more enemies appear. They left soldiers behind, just as Desire predicted. Desire leaps forward, launching a surprise attack, and the warrior is sent flying with a thud. No time for hesitation. Our boy lands perfectly, but his expression is grim. He recognizes this moment, this exact position from the last timeline. He's remembering the siege, the countless deaths, and you can see the weight of it all crashing down on him. But then his eyes narrow and a dangerous glint appears. This time, things are going to be different. The warrior roars, launching a massive swing, but Desire just sidesteps it with insane speed, like it's nothing. Desire's already moving, a blue blur launching a kick right into the warrior's gut. Arg, and this dude goes flying. He crashes hard, but before he can recover, Desire is on him, stomping down with another kick. The warrior staggers, clearly stunned, and Desire doesn't let up. He's raising a hand, gathering energy, and it looks familiar. Our boy remembers this exact moment from the last timeline, the warrior's desperate plea, the futile attempt to protect someone. It's all flooding back. But this time, he's not going to let it happen. Desire's eyes are blazing with determination, and he's unleashing a powerful blast. Whams! The warrior is sent hurtling backwards, crashing through debris, and honestly, this dude had it coming. Desire lands gracefully, stepping forward, and the warrior is left reeling, completely staggered, barely conscious. The warrior tries to lift his head, but Desire's already there, pressing down, and the look on his face is cold. "Ha, now it's my turn." You can feel the shift in power. Desire isn't just fighting to survive anymore. He's taking control, and it's terrifying. Desire channels energy through his hand, red lines crackling. It's the same technique he used to obliterate everything in the last timeline. The warrior charges, swinging wildly, but Desire just casually steps aside, and you can see the pure disdain on his face. Desire's hand glows with an intense, icy blue light, a complete reversal of the fire he usually wields, and it throws everyone off guard. The warrior shouts a sword as a massive blade of pure blue energy materializes in Desire's grip. It's the weapon he failed to summon before. Slash! Desire moves with impossible speed, the energy sword cutting through the air, and the warrior is sent flying backwards. Our boy is relentless, keeping the pressure on. The warrior's airborne, but Desire's already leaping up, ready to finish him off. Desire's face is a mask of cold fury, and honestly, it's terrifying to see him this focused and determined. He brings the energy sword down, a brilliant flash illuminating the scene, and the warrior is utterly helpless against the attack. The warrior lands with a sickening thud, completely defeated, and Desire stands over him, radiating power. The warrior spits out, "Silver, tremble, tremble," but it's just pathetic, and our boy hears every single word. He remembers this moment, and this time, it's different. Desire stares down at the blood dripping from his sword. It's a sight he remembers vividly, a moment from the doomed timeline. The blood splatters onto the steps, and Desire turns away, refusing to acknowledge the fallen warrior's final words. He's heard enough. "I'll take them," Desire declares, but Pram cuts him off, insisting he needs to conserve his strength. She knows how far he's pushing himself. "Oh, but I'm fine," Desire protests, but Pram is firm. She orders him to rest, and you can see the concern etched on her face. The defeated warriors scream, a chorus of rage and desperation, and Desire's eyes narrow. From here on, I'll take over. No way. Desire is surrounded by swirling blue energy, clutching a book filled with faces. It's all the people he's trying to save. Pram's clearly pushing himself too hard, but Desire refuses to let him overexert himself, ordering him to rest. A trio of massive, enraged warriors charges forward, their faces contorted in fury and desperation. Suddenly, a dark figure steps forward, declaring he'll take over. It's like another personality is surfacing. The figure reveals a cold, calculating gaze, and you can tell this isn't just a simple power-up. Something serious is happening. The enemy attacks with a furious swing, but the dark figure casually deflects it, radiating confidence. The ground around them is instantly frozen over, and Desire, he remembers this. He remembers this exact moment from the previous timeline. The dark figure freezes the rain midair, creating a bizarre, dry bubble around them. It's a power Desire knows all too well. Our boy stares at the frozen landscape, realizing the implications of this ability. It's the power that ultimately failed to stop the apocalypse. Pram looks on in shock as the ground dries up completely, and Desire knows with a sinking feeling that the future is changing, but not necessarily for the better. The warriors are confused. Why isn't Desire attacking? They're about to find out. One of them tries to rush Desire, but this dude gets swatted away like a fly, splashing into the icy water. Desire doesn't even bother looking at them. He's focused on the dark figure and straight up says, "HM, that one's clever." The dark figure raises a hand, and electric arcs crackle around his arm. It's the same ability Desire saw during the apocalypse. The figure swings an axe at one of the warriors, and it's a clean cut through armor and flesh. No way. The warrior goes flying, and Desire is slammed into a wall with incredible force. Bam! Our boy is reeling. The dark figure is unleashing a torrent of electric blasts, and everyone's getting fried. It's brutal. The warriors are screaming in agony, and Desire, he remembers this pain. He remembers this destruction. The dark figure is breathing heavily, clearly exerting himself, and you can see the strain on his face. But before Desire can process it, his apprentice, Hyen, shouts, "There's one left, Master Desire. The fight isn't over yet." One of the warriors goes down, but Desire is clearly hurting. He barely managed to dodge that attack. Desire straight up tells his apprentice, Hyen, that the warrior is out, and the dark figure hasn't even bothered to finish the job. Hyen's worried, "Master Desire, are you all right?" But Desire brushes it off, claiming he just overused his mana. But Hyen isn't buying it. He asks how Desire could use a third circle spell when he's only first circle, and you can see the confusion on his face. Desire admits he's tired, but insists it was worth it, and honestly, that's the kind of dedication we love to see. Hyen looks exhausted, gasping for air, and Desire is breathing heavily too. This battle is taking a toll on both of them. The dark figure is also struggling, panting, but he raises his hand again, and a creaking sound echoes through the rain. The dark figure is sending out waves of force. It's like shock waves rippling through the air, and the warriors are getting blown back. Desire is barely standing, but he's staring right at the dark figure, and our boy knows he's seen this before. And honestly, Desire's face tells you everything. This isn't just a fight, it's a flashback. He remembers this moment. He remembers it all. Desire yells, trying to rally everyone, but the dark figure is already moving, straight for the crates. Hyen tries to grab a crate, but this dude is fast. He throws one at the dark figure, hoping to slow him down. The dark figure just swats the crate aside like it's nothing, and Desire's eyes widen. He's seen that exact swing before. He reaches for another crate, and Desire knows this is the moment everything changed in his last life, and he's determined to alter it. The dark figure's hand closes around the crate, and Desire's face is a mask of grim determination. He won't let history repeat itself. But then the dark figure's gaze locks onto something inside the crates, and his eyes, they are blazing. Could it be? The dark figure's voice is a low growl, and Desire feels a chill run down his spine. He knows that tone. The dark figure barks an order, "Open the boxes and check the contents," and the warriors scramble to obey. They have no idea what they are about to unleash. Suddenly, bells start ringing, a frantic, desperate sound, and someone shouts, "The enemies are coming." The situation is spiraling out of control. Desire's face is consumed by shadow and you can barely see his eyes, but they're fixed on the dark figure, burning with a fury we haven't seen yet. Desire shouts for them to halt, but the dark figure doesn't even flinch. He's got his eyes locked on something. No way. The dark figure unleashes a massive blast and the whole area erupts in chaos, sending buildings crumbling. Someone's sword swings, cutting through the air, and it's fast. Desire's mind races, recognizing the technique. The dark figure takes a hit, grunting in pain, but retaliates with a furious roar. The ground trembles with each strike. A blonde figure descends from above, landing with a thud, and Desire's face tightens. He remembers exactly how this plays out. Our boy hears every single word, the whispers, the laughs, and you can feel the weight of the past crashing down on him. Desire's got this ancient tome glowing with blue energy, surrounded by pages ripped from weight. Those are manga panels. Our boy is channeling something massive. A hulking tiger-headed warrior moves in, grabbing for Desire and demands, Are you my foe? Seriously, talk about a direct question. The warrior's hand closes in, but Desire's already reacting, a blade flashing out to meet the attack. The warrior deflects the blow, but Desire isn't backing down. He's staring this dude right in the eye, confirming a suspicion he's held for ages. This dude is definitely someone Desire remembers from the future, and it's not a good memory. He's bracing for a fight, knowing exactly what this guy is capable of. The warrior launches forward with incredible speed, a trail of force behind him, and Desire is already preparing to counter. Desire expertly blocks the attack, the impact sending shockwaves through the area, and the warrior's expression shifts to surprise. The warrior unleashes a barrage of attacks, each blow aimed with deadly precision, but Desire is deflecting every single one with unnerving calm. Desire pushes back, his own sword meeting the warrior's with a resounding clash, and the warrior's armor starts to crack under the strain. The warrior's stance falters and Desire presses his advantage, delivering a final blow that sends the warrior reeling. No way this is going to be easy. Desire unleashes a wave of icy energy, shattering the floor around him and sending the warrior flying back. The force of the blast throws the warrior into a pillar, cracking the stone, and Desire's already moving in for another attack. The warrior manages to regain his footing, but Desire's relentless, his blade flashing with chilling precision. The warrior yells Kunlona, and a horde of masked figures surges forward, answering his call for help. Desire doesn't even flinch, just keeps pressing his attack, cutting through the advancing warriors with ease. But the sheer number of opponents is overwhelming, and Desire finds himself surrounded, facing a sea of blades. Our boy hears the taunts of the crowd, Kunlona, and his gaze locks onto the tiger-headed warrior, who's grinning like he already won. The warrior's eyes meet Desire's, and something flickers in his expression, recognition. Desire remembers this moment, this look. Desire focuses on the warrior's eyes, and a memory floods back, a chilling vision of this guy betraying everyone. You can feel the weight of that memory crashing down on Desire, and honestly, this dude had it coming. Desire unleashes a massive blast, shattering the ice golem into a million pieces. It's like watching a glacier explode. The force of the impact sends shards of ice flying everywhere, and Desire braces himself against the recoil. But the warrior isn't impressed. He just stares down at Desire with a cold, calculating gaze, and Desire remembers this exact look. Desire's mind flashes back to the future, to the moment this warrior betrayed everyone. The weight of that knowledge is crushing him. The warrior shouts "Begone," and a wave of pure energy surges from him, aimed straight at Desire. Desire gets blasted backward, tumbling through the icy debris. It's a brutal hit, and he crashes into the remaining ice structures. He's surrounded by jagged ice, barely conscious, and the masked warriors close in, sensing blood in the water. The warrior's voice echoes through the cavern, felling a golem made out of third circle magic in a single blow, and Desire's head snaps up. Our boy hears their disbelief, their shock, and honestly, it's kind of satisfying, even while he's getting pulverized. A close-up on the warrior's face, he's not just surprised, he's disturbed. Desire knows that look. This dude is starting to realize he messed with the wrong guy. Desire fires off an arrow, and the warrior, this guy, reacts with insane speed, deflecting it with his own weapon. The warrior shouts, "I shall shoot you down," and unleashes a barrage of arrows, but Desire is already moving. Desire dodges the incoming fire with unbelievable agility, leaving trails of light in his wake. The warrior's jaw drops. He's weaving through the arrows, a blur of motion, and the warrior mutters, such speed, completely caught off guard. Our boy is airborne, slicing through the remaining arrows with a focused swing of his sword. It's a beautiful, deadly dance. Desire lands, a whirlwind of energy surrounding him, and the warrior realizes he's facing something completely different. Desire isn't celebrating, he sees the warrior's expression, that same cold, calculating look from the future, and a wave of dread washes over him. He remembers the betrayal, the carnage, the utter devastation, and you can feel the weight of those memories crushing him. The warrior yells a command, warriors huddle together and endure, and a massive wall of ice begins to rise around them. Desire, ignoring the ice, hears a single word echo in his mind, Greece. It's a signal, a code, and he knows exactly what's coming next. The warrior stomps forward and Desire, our boy, meets the attack head-on with his sword, sparks flying. A quick cut to the warrior's eye, it's narrowed, assessing, and Desire knows this dude is calculating something. Desire's blade clashes with the warrior's weapon, a deafening clang echoing, and the warrior looks genuinely surprised. The warrior shouts, "You may be an impressive magician, but you're far from a seasoned warrior. Talk about confidence." Desire isn't backing down, he declares, "I am Bloody Hawk Claw, proud Esteban warrior," dropping a name and a title. Desire unleashes a burst of crimson energy, and it's clear this isn't just magic, it's a statement, a challenge. He's channeling something ancient, something fierce, and you can see the raw power radiating from him. No way, this is just a student. The warrior grins, a terrifying display of teeth, and Desire realizes this fight isn't about skill, it's about pride, about legacy. Our boy Desire is deep in study, flipping through a book of faces. It's a complete record of everyone who died in the previous world. Suddenly, a massive figure barrels toward him, all muscle and fury, screaming UGH. It's a direct attack. Desire barely glances up, he recognizes this guy straight up. This is someone from the future, a monster he fought before. The monster unleashes a fiery blast, but Desire's eyes widen. He remembers this exact moment, this specific attack, and the weakness within it. He swings his sword, a precise counter, and the blades clash with a resounding clang. But this isn't just a block. Desire's strike isn't stopping the attack, it's redirecting it, forcing the monster off balance and sending shards of ice flying everywhere. The monster's momentum carries him, and he's sent hurtling backwards. Desire doesn't let up, pressing his advantage with another swift strike. This dude is flying. Desire's power is pushing him through the air, and he's crashing into everything in sight. The monster tries to regain control, bracing for impact, but Desire's blade slams down with a final slam. It's a decisive blow. And honestly, seeing this guy fall, knowing what he became in the last timeline, our boy feels nothing. It's cold, but necessary. The monster, still airborne, tries to unleash another attack, a massive crimson wave of energy, but Desire is already anticipating it. Desire shouts Ice Spear, and a colossal, jagged shard of ice erupts from the ground, intercepting the fiery blast. The two forces collide, creating a blinding explosion of red and blue. It's a full-on elemental clash, and Desire's power is visibly straining. But it's not just power. Desire is aiming. He's funneling the energy, redirecting the blast back towards the monster. The monster is caught completely off guard as his own attack rebounds, and the force sends him spiraling downwards. Desire leaps after him, launching himself into the air with incredible speed, his sword glowing with power. He descends like a comet, sword aimed true, and slams into the monster with a devastating blow, a final, explosive impact. The world erupts in a fiery kaboom. A massive shockwave ripples outwards, and everything is bathed in orange light. The monster is completely engulfed, and a massive fissure cracks across the ice below, but Desire lands smoothly, barely phased. Desire stands there, blood trickling from his forehead, and breathes out "Ha, raise." He's exhausted, but he's still standing, and you can see the weight of everything he remembers in his eyes. Esteban is down, but he's not out. This dude is straight up ranting about his fallen comrades, saying they won't be pleased with a quick defeat. He's talking about honoring their memory by taking Desire's head as a trophy seriously. Our boy isn't having it. Desire just coldly states his battle outfit's mana is below 20% and its defensive functions are critically low. He's playing it cool, but it's a risky gamble. Esteban keeps yapping, but Desire cuts him off. "You talk too much," and then moves. It's blindingly fast. Esteban staggers, completely caught off guard, but Desire is already circling, sword raised, seemingly untouched by the previous attacks. Esteban's face contorts in a furious grimace, teeth bared. You can see the raw rage bubbling up, and it's kinda terrifying. Desire swings, a flash of silver, a resounding clang, and the two blades meet in a shower of sparks, but the impact sends Esteban reeling. Desire doesn't let up, unleashing another swift attack, a blurring swoosh of his sword as he closes the distance. Another swing, and this time the blade connects, slicing across Esteban's armor. A crimson slash erupts as the monster cries out in pain. Our boy sees it all, the rage, the desperation, the familiarity, Esteban's fate in the last timeline. It's hitting him hard, and he knows exactly how this fight will end. Esteban's sword meets Desire's, and the force sends him flying, but our boy barely budges, looking down at him with a cold stare. Esteban crashes into the ice, shattering it, and Desire's voice cuts through the air. "Didn't you say you were completely unscathed?" Desire unleashes another attack, a blinding wham of energy that sends Esteban spiraling through the air. Esteban's armor cracks under the assault, thunk, KRRK, but he's still trying to fight, clutching his sword despite the damage. Another swing from Desire, and Esteban is sent crashing down again, the ice splintering around him in a shower of shards. Desire stands over him, sword raised, and Esteban, kneeling, looks up, but it's not fear Desire sees, it's defiance. Esteban's eyes narrow and he forces out a laugh, "Ha," but Desire recognizes that look, the one from the previous timeline. Esteban's body trembles with power, his grip tightening on his blade. He's bracing for something massive, and Desire knows exactly what's coming. "Would vanquish all foes," Esteban growls, his eyes burning with a terrifying resolve. It's the same declaration he made before everything fell apart. Our boy hears it all, the promise of destruction, and a figure appears behind Esteban, a shadow of the past, and he whispers, "Follow your example." Esteban's sword meets Desire's again, and this time cracks spiderweb across the blade. It's starting to fail. Clang, the sound echoes as Desire pushes forward, forcing Esteban to stumble back, completely overwhelmed. The sword shatters, pieces flying everywhere, and Desire doesn't even flinch. He's just standing there, radiating confidence. Esteban's face contorts in disbelief. He's lost his weapon, and our boy sees the realization dawn on him. "Ha, so what if you switched your sword?" Esteban snarls, but it's a desperate attempt to hide his fear. Desire's eyes bore into Esteban, and for a split second, he's back in the last timeline, seeing the same defiance, the same doomed pride. Esteban collapses, falling to his knees, and Desire's sword is already descending. It's happening exactly as he remembers. Thud, Esteban hits the ground, and a chorus of gasps rises from the crowd, but Desire barely registers it. Our boy hears everything, the whispers, the fear, the confusion, and honestly, this dude had it coming. He stares down at Esteban, and a single thought crosses his mind. What happened? It's a question from the past, haunting him now. Desire's gaze is locked on Esteban, and you can see the memories flooding back. The last timeline, the failure, everything. Esteban tries to regain composure, but Desire doesn't give him a second, launching forward with a brutal attack. "Hua!" Esteban cries out as Desire's blade pierces his armor. It's swift, decisive, and honestly, a little scary. Esteban manages a shaky laugh, trying to brush it off, but Desire doesn't react. He's already calculating the next move. Desire's eyes narrow, and he sees it all again. Esteban's defiant grin, the same arrogance that led to ruin. It's like watching a replay. Thud, Esteban slams into the ground, and the crowd is dead silent. No one expected it to end so quickly. Our boy stands over Esteban, hearing the whispers, the fear, and the confusion, but he's focused on one thing: what happened. The castle looms large against the bright sky. It's the next day, and the weight of what just happened hangs heavy in the air. A single petal drifts down, joining countless others, and Desire's face is unreadable. He's already thinking 3 steps ahead.